And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bash us, him.
Attention to roll call.
That's right. Good morning, everybody. 8:05 live Eastern Time. It's your Friday roundtable. Let's talk about the debate last night. It was a three-man debate. Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and of course, our endorsement, Curtis Sliwa. Now, with that being said, I think we had a nice watch party on an X Space. If anyone here was on that X Space, if you weren't aware, if you have an opportunity, the X Space recorded where we watched the debate. We did a little pre-analysis and then we did analysis, debate recap, which I thought it wasn't. I think it wasn't a memorable debate. I thought that Curtis Sliwa was drowned out. I thought it was intentional. However, when he did get an opportunity to speak, I thought he shined and did a great job. So with that being said, let's talk about the debate. Let's do a recap. John, let's get into it. I know this is your wheelhouse, and I know you're excited about it. So let's talk about it.
No, yeah, I just think, like I said, I agree with you. I don't think it was memorable at all. I don't think Curtis Sliwa did his best job. Like, I don't think he shined the best. But I think it was a complete setup. I think the whole thing, I think the moderators, the questions, I mean, the whole first half was about Donald Trump. It was who hates Donald Trump more. I was like, well, what is this? What does this have to do with being the mayor of New York City? And so, like, that was the whole first half. And then the second half, even the questions, they were real skewed for progressive Democrats. You know, it was real skewed. And in my opinion, I just saw an article from the Daily News that said that it appeared Sliwa and Zohran were working together. And I'm like, I was like, really? Because the whole time I was thinking it appeared that Cuomo and Zohran were working together to box Sliwa out with the moderators. I mean, the moderators would not let Cuomo talk. The whole thing was the Zohran Mamdani show. They were like, oh, the moderator. Every time Zohran Mamdani spoke, you could hear the moderator in the background going, oh, like, I'm like, what is this? Oh, wow. I'm like, what the hell is this shit? And then he would get follow-up questions. Nobody else would get follow-up questions. Sometimes Cuomo would get follow-up questions. And then them two would go back and forth, and they never let Sliwa like say anything. And so I'm sitting there and I'm going, this whole thing's a setup to make Sliwa look like crap and to make Zohran Mamdani look like he knows what he's talking about. And it still failed. Cuomo and Mamdani still came off as the two phonies they are. Zohran, you saw, has zero substance. He has no idea how he's paying for it. They asked him one question. It should have been a ground ball. What happens if you can't raise taxes? The governor says you can't raise taxes. He doesn't know. So basically everything he told you is bull crap. He can't do it. He doesn't know how he's going to do it. He doesn't know how he's going to fund it. And the whole thing was a joke. And then immediately after, what happened? All the same Midwest social media influencers, the MAGA influencers, all the guys that were pushing Eric Adams are now crapping all over Sliwa. And then I'm sitting there, I'm going, why is that? Why are they doing this now? And now I'm like, I'm weirded out, dude. I'm like, either Cuomo's camp's paying for them or Eric Adams' camp's still paying for him. And this guy's going to jump back in the race in the last second. So I don't know what the hell's happening right now, but I know there's a lot of deception happening, and it started last night with that debate.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Happy Friday. Like the rest of us here, I'm a little tired from staying up last night, and even worse, going down a Isa Bossy rabbit hole, into what
oh boy,
he's doing in New Jersey. Yeah. But anyway, I share the same feelings about the debate. I think if you want to see a more informative debate, you need to go back to the Cranes Forum, because I thought a lot of the questions were more thoughtful there. I think this was like a theater for low information people, And, again, at the Cranes Forum, it was questions being asked by the business community. So I think you should go watch that. But, I agree with what John says. I think Mamdani, he has nice sounding ideas, but don't ask him about the details, And I do think that it seemed like it was a setup.
I thought that the debate itself was very juvenile. And I think the questions were ground ball questions and very simplified and actually narrowed and directed towards Mamdani's campaign. If you caught on to some of the questions, and for instance, the questions about, for all three candidates, what is your credit card? What is your credit card debt? Do you pay that per month? Do you let that credit card debt build up? What is your gross income? What do you pay for rent? And I think these were all questions that were geared so that Mamdani can have an opportunity to shine and say, hey, well, look at all this debt that you have. Wouldn't you want to be debt free? Right? They started asking questions about, I mean, how convenient did we ever hear on a debate stage, what do you pay? When they started to talk about inflation, wow, is it amazing that they happen to ask, what do you pay in groceries? Gee, who wants to give you city-owned grocery stores, Mamdani? They actually asked, how much you pay in grocery stores? And I thought it was silly that Cuomo and Sliwa actually answered the question. They said, 175. They should have said at this point, well, it's obvious this question is geared for Mamdani. They should have called him out on it. That's what I thought would have been a great point to say, wow, they're really paying attention. I think it wasn't memorable at all. And I think the reason why, it was very juvenile. And I think the illusion and the intent that was driven by the moderator and the whole platform itself and the framework was to give the illusion that it was a two-man race, that Sliwa wasn't even there. It was almost, it appeared like Sliwa was almost like a second moderator. It was Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo, and then the second moderator, Curtis Sliwa. So I don't think he had an opportunity to shine, period, because he was drowned out intentionally. But there was one point I thought that was significant where he did shine. And that was when he showed a reflection of the past in comparison till now. And that was comparing David Dinkins, the Democratic Socialist at that time, in comparison to now. And that's where I thought he hit the mark, and that was his best moment.
Yeah, and the other thing that really annoyed me is Zohran kept correcting Curtis about his name. So just so you know, from this point on, I'm never pronouncing your name right ever again, because you want people to know your name and pronounce it the way you want them to pronounce it. People call me Macari, Macari, whatever. I don't even know what the million names that I have. I if I'm there, I'm like, oh, if they ask me, I say it. But I don't get offended. You could tell how offended he is, and he takes a slight at it. But yet, this is the same guy that wants to play like, oh, you could call people any pronoun you want. You could, you should call people this. You should call people that. Screw you, dude. This is America. From now on, I'm gonna say what Attorney Jimmy Wagner calls you. Your new name's Zamdani. It's because Zamdani. I'm gonna go because it was absolutely ridiculous. Like, he was the boss there, and I think honestly he looked like a child at the debate. It was totally geared towards him. It was totally set up to look like a two-man race, but with a huge emphasis on Zohran Mamdani. He had all FaceTime. If you go back, if you count the minutes of who was speaking, who was getting the questions directed at them, how many follow-ups there were, it was the Zohran Mamdani show. It was an absolute joke. NBC should be ashamed of themselves. I like Sally Goldenberg. I like Melissa Russo. The rest of them, I honestly, I still thought, all in all, I thought it was terrible. Even though I think that they're good reporters, I thought they did terrible at moderating. I don't think they should ever moderate a debate ever again. That, to me, that was not a debate at all. And if you listen to what Mamdani was saying and you listen to what Cuomo was saying, it's the same thing they've been saying for the last 3 months. Mamdani's questions were the same thing he was saying. The answers to his questions were the same thing he was saying on the Fox News interview when he said that he was sorry to the NYPD on Fox 5, right? Complete lie. And he just repeated word for word what he said on Fox. Complete joke.
Yeah. To John's point about Mamdani, and he wants you to pronounce his name properly, but still, the pronouns. Pronouns are still a thing for him. I mean, it's not a surprise because he called out Andrew Cuomo for the Hamptons, and I believe his comment was referring to Cuomo taking a helicopter to the Hamptons. I mean, when I heard that, I thought, yeah, but you take jets to like Dubai, So, you're striking a progressive tone and trying to portray yourself as a low, a low income guy who takes the buses. Yet we all know that's not the truth. And while you talk about a housing and the need for housing in New York, you live in a rent subsidized building, and there's really no need for it. Yeah. because you're wealthy. So just to go back on what John said about the hypocrisy of Mamdani, and it's rules for thee and not for me. And I think it really shouldn't surprise us much. But yeah, again, I agree with what everyone said here, and I think the moderators I think it was terrible, and I didn't like the format and the quick like 30-second responses to questions. It seemed a little too rapid fired to me, and it didn't seem like it was geared for you to make a solid point and let it sink into people. I just didn't like it at all.
So I think that his so-called apology to the NYPD fell flat. And that point where Andrew Cuomo called him out about his tweets stemming from 2020, I think if you listen to it, it showed that nothing has changed. It wasn't authentic. There's no apology because he defended those tweets. He said that at the time, due to Eric Garner case, Mike Brown, which wasn't even in New York City. He talks about the George Floyd case, another case that's not in New York City, right? He's supposed to be the New York City mayor. And basically what he said was he laid the groundwork to say that he was frustrated with law enforcement in the entire country. And then he stood by his tweets. He didn't apologize and say it's a mistake to call the NYPD anti-queer and to refer to the NYPD as racist in his tweets. Rather, what he did was he stood by it and said that he was frustrated at the time. And now he apologizes for his rhetoric because he wants to move forward and utilize the NYPD. And what he did also, I believe, is that he dumbed down the NYPD. What did he say? He said the NYPD has one job to do. What he wants to do is take away the social aspect of it and allow the NYPD to do their one job. So what he's telling you, excuse me, is that the NYPD is one-dimensional. And we know the NYPD is multifaceted. Now, I believe the NYPD should not bite more than they could chew. The NYPD should not have to do everything. The NYPD does, unfortunately, is asked and required, tasked more than they can handle. But at the same token, he's given the illusion that in the pecking order, the NYPD should be at the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to policing and public safety. And to me, that shows there's no apology and it's not authentic because he's given the illusion that the NYPD is one-dimensional and trying to dumb down the organization. So there's no apology there. What he felt back in 2020, what he showed and demonstrated with those tweets, in my opinion, remains the same.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was the same scripted answer that he gave to Fox News, and it was honestly, it wasn't a real apology. Like, apology not accepted. Ron Layson said it last night on the X Space. Apology not accepted. I'm with it. And I think every cop that listens to that is like, you serious? Like that's your answer. But to be fair, at least he answered it. Andrew Cuomo has never answered why he signed into bail reform, why he did the discovery law, why he thought the defund the police movement was a legitimate school of thought. Eric Adams has never answered why he wanted to defund the police $600 million to $1 billion and lower the headcount of the NYPD, which he was successful at. So only Zohran Mamdani had to answer that question. But it really is what you see. Like what I watched is, I'm like, oh, now I see it. I see it. And it like came to me in a flash, and I was like, wow, Marlon's been right this whole time. Real estate is what this mayoral race is about. And there's two guys on the stage, and there was a third guy, Eric Adams, Cuomo, Zohran, and Adams. They were all for the city of yes, right? What is the city of yes? The city of yes is saying that New York City is a butthole, and we're going to let developers and real estate moguls rape it. What we're going to do is we're going to rip apart your parkland. We're going to build on your preserves. We're going to take areas that you would never be allowed to put buildings on, and we're going to put residents on them, 5-year building projects, 10-year building projects. And who ultimately pays? Is it going to be good to make New York City more dense? Do you think Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Manhattan, that they need more density? Does anyone believe that? You're going to have 0 parking spots, 0 cars. And so I thought the moment of the debate was this. This is Curtis Sliwa. They all want to make the city more affordable. And by making the city more affordable, what they're saying is we're going to hand the city over to developers and we're going to let them do whatever they want. We're going to let them do whatever they want and build wherever they want. But Curtis Sliwa right here shows you One, he's not for the city of yes. He believes in us having parkland and having preserves, and he already knows how dense New York City. Listen to what he says here. None of the debate moderators didn't know what to say to him. They didn't ask him a follow-up on it. Cuomo and Zohran looked like two children because they have no idea how to make New York City more affordable. They have no idea how to create more housing in New York City without handing the keys over to developers and kicking the community out. Here's the moment of the night, in my opinion. Watch this.
The other thing that differentiates me from both of my adversaries is that I am opposed to the city of yes, which will destroy the residential neighborhoods. Both of them are for the city of yes. So when you vote for me, whether on the Republican line or the Protect Animals line, turn your ballot over and vote no on all those initiative and referendums. Imagine, they've said, how can you, Curtis, a Republican, work with a Democratic majority in the council? Adrian Adams is in agreement with me. The Democratic city council people are in agreement with me. No to the city of yes, which will take your homes and provide you instead with lithium-ion battery warehouses next to your house, which are like mini Chernobyl. I'm the only candidate who is opposed to the city of yes.
And they were cutting him off while he was talking, but he goes on to say how he's going to take all of this municipal property right now that is geared for commercial, that they'll never put any commercial real estate in. And he's like, we're just going to retrofit that. We'll have it up in less than a year and we'll have housing for all these people. And they cut him off on that segment too. But that's what he was up against. That's why I say he didn't shine great, but he won that debate clear. But you couldn't win that debate. That was a rigged boxing match, the whole thing. Marlon, sorry. What do you got, brother?
No, I have been saying for a while about the commercial real estate, and for those of you who haven't seen it, to understand that what's going on is basically, nearly half of the city's taxes depend on commercial property real estate. What happens is, in the old days, housing was connected to manufacturing, so houses would be next to factories or production. When America hollowed out its manufacturing base, that became separated. Okay. And cities needed a way to fund themselves. And this is why commercial properties started coming into the picture. And they became an investment, and they became an asset that you could kind of launder your money into also, and it's a great asset to also park your money in. So now we have an entire industrial complex inside of New York City that's been built on top of commercial property real estate, and the taxes and the money flow that comes from it, which goes into the security industrial complex, which is where all these NYPD chiefs go when they retire. So it's a big complex and it's all connected. And this is why you see the shift of Bill Aikman from Eric Adams, and now he's back in Cuomo. You see Mamdani cozying up to them. He made comments in the Cranes Forum where he mentioned public-private partnerships for housing, which is the euphemism for the city funding, basically subsidizing these builders. And you know how they subsidize it? With taxpayer money, with investments from the pension funds, which is what Cuomo plans to do as well, because there was an article in City and State a couple of days ago which said Cuomo's housing pitch is creative financing, not a rent freeze. And it explicitly says in there he plans to expand pension investments into affordable housing. Okay, he plans to invest your pensions in an asset that has depreciated, right? And an asset that you need subsidy to build, because otherwise a lot of these banks aren't going to finance it right now. They know it's a money losing operation at this time. And as America shifts back to manufacturing now, it's going to become even more of a money loss. But if they put your pension there, they feel the government is eventually going to bail that out, and in doing so, bail out your pension. So you're going to be good. Okay, so you need to understand that for you to really grasp why the real estate industry is closing up to both Cuomo and Mamdani.
Great comment here, and I have to totally agree. Stay trained up. It doesn't matter what Zohran says, the media chose him. And that's what we saw on that debate stage. The media showed it clear. Curtis Sliwa was never going to get an opportunity to put out his platform. He was there. They made it appear almost like he's a second moderator, or almost like just like someone that might be another referee, because clearly it was geared towards Zohran Mamdani and Cuomo, but really centered around Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani was the only one that had an opportunity to elaborate on answers and elaborate on different questions. Even at some point, I thought they even drowned out Andrew Cuomo a bit. But Curtis Sliwa never had an opportunity to completely shine. Unfortunately, I don't think there were any winners in that. It was totally geared towards Zohran Mamdani, and even with that, I think he fell flat. I think that he showed he really didn't have any policies, that most of these things are just completely empty, and they're going on a whim, and they don't have any substance. None of them actually talked about any policy. It wasn't about, first of all, the first 45 minutes was more geared towards foreign policy and nothing to do with New York City. And nothing about this was about actual policy of what they can do for the city and what they can fix and what are their plans moving forward. Rather, it was bash Trump. Did you support Kamala Harris? It was about these grocery stores. It was about Zohran Mamdani with affordable housing. It was all geared towards his campaign to make him be the chosen winner. I think Sliwa was never going to get a chance. Hopefully we have another debate. This is the first one with 3 weeks away towards the election. And I hope if there is another debate, my advice to Curtis Sliwa is not to follow these moderators at all. Just completely interrupt them, because they didn't show him any respect. I thought it was completely unfair. And clearly, if we don't hear any screaming and yelling from the Republican Party at this point, the answer is it's completely rigged.
Yeah, so there is another debate scheduled. It's a New York 1 debate. It's going to be hosted by Errol Lewis. And, I don't agree with Errol Lewis about anything, but I do like his style of asking questions, and I like his style of interviewing. And I think you're going to see a totally different debate. I'm hoping that you are. I have faith in Errol Lewis, even though I think he's like the polar opposite of me. I have faith in Errol Lewis that he's going to give a fair shake at the debates, and I think you're going to see Curtis shine even more at those debates. But I think the question of the night in the X Base came from Sal Greco, and he asked, "Did this debate move the needle for any candidate?" And I think everyone was literally like, no. Like there was like a couple hundred people in the space, and they were all putting the thumbs down. Didn't move the needle for anybody. Didn't change anybody's mind about anything, I don't think. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I don't think it changed anybody's minds. Again, the formatting just doesn't do it. It's too rapid fire. It's not enough hard hitting questions and not enough time to give a thorough response.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I don't think that debate moved the needle at all. I don't think it changed anything. I think that debate was so insignificant that we'll probably won't even remember it. You'll probably have to say, wow, what was spoken about that debate? That's why I said I don't believe it was memorable at all. The only thing that you will remember is that it was centered around Zohran Mamdani. And there wasn't too many questions where it was about the platform moving forward. Now, Fabian here says, I disagree, Eric. She called me Mr. Eric. Says, I disagree, Mr. Eric. They asked Sliwa what his stance on gifted school, and he went on to say his 2 boys with Melinda Katz and yada, yada. And he only had 1 minute. Well, I think at that point, he must have been frustrated. He knew at this point that the cards were dealt against him. It was stacked against him. He didn't have an opportunity to elaborate on any point. So I think it was met with frustration, and he did his best to keep his poise and to show his bearing. And with that shows a great quality of someone that can lead the city. So I think if you look at that portion of it, how he held his poise and maintained his bearing, knowing that the entire time he was completely drowned out, shows that's a great leadership trait. And one of the great leadership traits that a leader needs is to have bearing. And that, I think, exemplified his leadership ability.
Yeah, and I think Sliwa really solidified. He didn't get a chance to solidify his point on that specific point. But if you listen to what he said, what did he say? He wants to expand the gifted talent program. Zohran Mamdani wants to take it away. Andrew Cuomo wants to keep it the same. And what Sliwa was saying is, I think we should have more seats. I want to expand it. Why shouldn't we have more seats? And so, I think a lot of people miss that point. And of course, I have no faith in the mainstream media to report on that point, And so, and I'm not sure if you picked up on it, but that's what Sliwa said. I mean, which I thought was a really big moment in the debate. Again, it just shows the stark difference between him. He's not for the city of yes. He's for expanding gifting and talent. He's the public safety mayor. I mean, legitimately, like those other two guys, when it comes to public safety, they're clowns. Yet we spend time on keeping prostitutes legal, which whatever. There was a huge word salad, like a 20-minute word salad of Zohran Mamdani basically saying, no, I don't want prostitution to be legal. And then they wait about 15 minutes and Cuomo finally brings it up. He's like, yeah, but you had a bill to decriminalize it. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, I want to decriminalize it. Okay, so you want to make it legal. And the debate moderators never go anywhere with that. And we just sit there. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Eric Adams right now, prostitution's legal, dude. Like, go drive around New York City. It's legal. I mean, I posted the video 3 weeks ago when I was there. I was driving around downtown Brooklyn. What did it look like? It looked like 42nd Street in the 80s. I was like, what the hell is this? There's prostitutes everywhere, open air market, same thing on Roosevelt Avenue. And it's like, it's disgusting. And what do you think? Cuomo's going to do anything different? He's not going to, the guy has no shot anyway. So that's a joke. And Zohran Mamdani, what's he going to do? It's going to be worse. It's going to be worse than it is now. And so there's only one guy that's going to actually, and Sliwa said it. He goes, I don't want to lock up the hookers. I want to get the pimps. I want to get the prostitutes. I want to get the sex traffickers. I want to put enforcement towards these people, stuff that we're actually not doing right at this moment in time.
Yeah, and while Mamdani's approach was a word salad, Cuomo's approach was like a shotgunning as much as you can onto a wall, because his answer to the gifted and talented program was like, seemed like he had no clue, I think I really wish somebody would confront Mamdani about, he kept saying about potentially being the first Muslim mayor of the city. I wish somebody would really confront him on prostitution and the DSAs, Democrat Socialists of America, their whole push to decriminalize prostitution. I really wish somebody would, because I don't understand how you can call yourself a good Muslim and be for the decriminalization of that. So I've yet to see anybody in the media or even the candidates really call them out on that. Somebody needs to do it, because it's you got to pick one, bro. You can't say you're pious and then be pushing that. But yeah, that pretty much sums up my feelings on this debate. I think this was kind of, in a lot of ways, kind of a waste of time, and I really wish that I hope for the next debate that the formatting is rearranged and we go to something that's a little more conducive to letting the candidates really not just for Curtis' sake, so that he's not they don't talk over him and try to ignore that he's actually a candidate for the race, but a format that allows all these candidates to really state their policies and their plans for the cities, because this was not it.
I think you made a great point. And that's the flashpoint in this debate, is that it wasn't memorable. And if anything, it didn't change anything for the better or make it worse or solidify. If anyone wasn't paying attention to politics, if they're a New York City resident, said, hey, you know what? I have time to watch this debate tonight. They didn't gain anything from that debate. They didn't gain any knowledge. It didn't help them make a decision. Probably, if anything, if you're someone that is just not following, you're too busy, you're too busy with your job and bogged down with your family, you didn't garner any intelligence or any knowledge from that debate. There was nothing fruitful out of it. So I think when you said, Marlon, it's a waste of time, that's exactly what it was. It didn't change anything. So hopefully, Earl Lewis, if you're watching this, we hope that you could bring a better debate stage and make it fair. Honestly, I don't think it should be geared towards one candidate at all. I don't want it to see it geared specifically towards Curtis Sliwa. I believe in a fair debate stage. Give each candidate an opportunity to state, while state what their policies are, and let them tell you why they should be the mayor or not. And then let us, the people, let the people decide who's the best candidate. Don't let the media decide, because the media made the decision already and already created the platform that they're behind Zohran Mamdani. And even with that crutch, Zohran Mamdani fell completely flat. He had an opportunity to shine with it being geared completely towards his campaign and his platform. And I think he failed. I think Andrew Cuomo showed that he really didn't care. His answers were very empty. He just, as Marlon said, shotgun answers. He showed he didn't care. Clearly, he doesn't want to be the mayor of New York City. It's just a redemption time to get back to higher office. And to me, the only one that showed any passion when he did have an opportunity to speak, showed he care, was Curtis Lewa, a true New Yorker, someone that he showed he might be an outsider when it comes to politics, but he's an insider when it comes to being a New York City resident. He's a true New Yorker. So that's why I say, Curtis, if you have an opportunity, just ask Zohran Mamdani and ask Andrew Cuomo, can you find the subway? Because we know at least you could find it.
Yeah, no, it was a complete joke. And the other thing I think people, all the MAGA crowds going nuts about, the last thing for me is they're going nuts about, oh, Curtis Lewa didn't raise his hand that he wants the National Guard to work with the NYPD. I wouldn't raise my hand either. What? I'm going to say, oh, yeah, I'm Eric Adams, and I can't provide public safety for the people in New York City, so I need the National Guard in the subways? Like, what mayoral candidate? If there's a mayoral candidate saying, yeah, please, Trump, send federal troops in to help me police New York City when I have a 30,000 army of NYPD cops and I can't seem to provide public safety for my own city. That's not that big. Should you really be running for mayor? Of course he shouldn't have raised his hand. I wouldn't have raised my hand either. Said, no, I'm going to have a competent police force out there and we're going to run New York City like we've been doing post 9/11 for almost going on almost 30 years at this point. You know what I mean? And like, I don't need that. I'm going to restore the NYPD to what you had under Giuliani, what you had under Bloomberg, where New York City was a safe place and you felt protected. I don't need federal intervention to come in here and have guys posted around. They're going to do nothing anyway and don't understand how to police the streets of our neighborhoods, don't understand the different ethnic neighborhoods. And they're sitting there with one bullet and a rifle that they're never going to use. Like, come on. Like, get out of here with that. We got to work with Trump. And so the MAGA crowd's going, oh, yeah, no, sorry. I don't need a federal takeover in New York City. I don't need a federal takeover anything, right? If you can't do your job as a mayor, if you can't do your job as a police commissioner, resign. The greatest case for defunding the police is sitting there and saying, Donald Trump, come save me. What are you saying? You're saying that your police force is ineffective. You're saying that your police commissioner is an idiot. You're saying that your mayor sucks. And you're saying defund the police. Why would we be paying billions of dollars a year to the NYPD if we needed the federal government to come in? You know, if they're not doing their job properly, it is what it is. So I fully support Curtis Lewa not raising his hand, because I wouldn't have raised my hand either. Because if you did, you're an idiot. You're a moron. Now, why didn't Cuomo and them raise their hand? Because they'll never do anything right. You already saw what happened with Cuomo. He got federal help when he eliminated the number of hospital beds we had in New York State. And he just found out during the height of an emergency, and we needed more hospital beds, and he wouldn't use them because Trump gave him the federal help. That's why he's saying it. He's not going to give you a competent police force. The people he's looking at for police commissioner are morons. They're soft hands, tender hands. They don't have no calluses on their hands. Their handcuffs are rusted. They were sitting in their locker for 30 years. The guy's a loser, right? And then Zohran Mamdani, why is he saying it? Because everything was he's going to step back and fight Trump. That's why he didn't raise his hand. Curtis Lewa didn't raise his hand because he's telling you, I'm going to have a competent police force. Totally different than the other two. He wasn't in line. Them saying I don't need that with three different responses. It was two of the same and one totally different.
Yeah, there's some on the right who are questioning why Curtis didn't raise his hands, and I think it's unfortunate that, like, it's almost been normalized having National Guard now in your city, you know. And if you could recall, like when Barack Obama was president, and for a while Democrats have been trying to push like a whole nationalization of police, okay. And Republicans had a problem with that back then. Okay, so now that the National Guard is kind of being normalized in cities, it's like It's like now it's kind of odd to see people question Curtis not raise his hands. I mean, think of it for a second. You'd have a problem with it if Obama did it. So why don't you have a problem if Trump does it? Since when do we I mean, we don't have riots and we don't have massive riots in the streets right now. Okay. I think you need a well equipped, well-trained police department more than you need a temporary solution, which is the National Guard. Okay. It's always a temporary solution to bring to kind of bring order from like usually it's from massive riots. So I just don't understand how the Overton window has changed so much that Republicans now you're almost begging now for National Guard. And I've seen some Republican politicians, in particular one from the city council, we all know who she is, begging for National Guard to come here. I'm like, what? I don't understand it. It's bizarre to me.
I think he did a great job. I think that was the proper response at that point, because what they're asking is, do you need National Guard to supplement or assist your public safety plan? And that is the point to what we're saying on this platform now, on this podcast, is that if you're a mayor of New York City, ultimately what we've learned, especially with Eric Adams, that you could potentially be also quasi police commissioner. If you take that role in leadership and not allow your police commissioners to be in charge, ultimately, you're the de facto police commissioner as the mayor of New York City. So when it comes to the public safety plan, the law enforcement apparatus, especially the NYPD, is trained for public safety, trained for long-term investigations. And the National Guard, and myself being a veteran and a former service member, I can tell you this: the National Guard or any military service on a whole, the majority of it is not trained for public safety apparatus and long-term investigations. That is not the role of a military organization or a military branch. The National Guard is meant for disasters. It's meant for a short blitz to bring turmoil back and restore order. It's not necessarily meant for long-term investigations. Now, if either candidate would say, yes, we need the National Guard for a public safety plan, at that point, you're saying your cards are folded and that you have zero plan and that crime is so out of control that you need that full court blitz. And yes, crime is out of control at this point, but not where we need the National Guard to take off. We don't need some federales. What we need is a true leader that allows the NYPD to be whole and to do proper investigations and vet out the failed leadership, bring in good leadership, and do a fantastic job, because the NYPD rank and file is ready to go. They just need the right leadership, and they could get the city under control. And that's what this comes down to. So the question is, would you be willing to work with the National Guard when needed to supplement the city if there's a disaster, if there is a riot that's so out of control? But just on a regular basis for law enforcement operations, it's not necessary. And that's my opinion.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. I think that, I'm looking forward to the next debate. Maybe we'll host another X Space when that comes. Let's see the dates and times and all that. We'll put it out more ahead of time than we did this time, so you guys could join. We bring people up to the stage. If you want to weigh in, we'll do it again. Pre-debate, half hour before, listen to the whole debate, 45 minutes after. So if you guys want to do that, let us know. We'll definitely put that together, and we'll let you know. We'll let you know the dates, times, and all that. So before we go on the next topic, which is the main topic about all of the NYPD good guys, great guys, cops, the real police who are kissing Zohran Mamdani's ass to become the police commissioner, I just want to give a shout out to the key, right? If you're looking to be an NYPD captain, the key's starting their 2026 captain exam. It's going to start November 22nd, 20-week course, $795. You get their key questions app, you get the patrol guide and the admin guide, you get the key legal digest, and you get I forget what it is. The other thing for captain, I can't see too good. Apologies for that. But listen, if you're looking to be a captain, you already know you got to study. You got to take these courses. You got to take the material. Definitely check out the key. You could scan the QR code here where you see it, or just reach out. I believe it is www.nypdthekey.com. So I think, honestly, I know a lot of you lieutenants don't want to do it, but I think I always say, why not do it? Take the test. If you don't want it, at least just sitting there. If something changes in the next year, your list number pops up. You're like, you know what? Screw this. Screw my boss. I'm going to be a boss, and then take the captain exam. I don't see any reason not to get promoted, especially if you're a lieutenant and you got a long window. You want to stay on the job another 10 years, another 15 years. I would say always take the test. Even if you don't, I say take the test, because you never know what time happens, how things change in your life. So I always say take the test, pass the test. And even if you don't take it, you could still abuse your boss. Be like, yo, I scored a 96 and you got a 70 on that test. Don't forget who you're ordering around here. I could have been your boss.
Listen, I always say don't put all your eggs in one basket. I never had to study that much per se, because I always read the patrol guide. My entire career, I read the patrol guide every day. I read some portion of it. I read Supreme Court cases every day. That was my thing. So when it came time to study, the classes were great because they were interactive and they gave you an opportunity to really memorize and drill down on the minutia to pass the test. Because what the key does, and they do a fantastic job, not only do they educate you on the material, but they teach you how to approach the exam. And that's very important, because not only do you have to have the knowledge, but you also have to have the test-taking skills. So shout out to the key. I took the course when I made sergeant. Awesome job. George Mifsud, real entertaining, motivating guy. Did a great job with the classes. He knows his stuff. I was definitely motivated by him, because it's dry material, right? So you have to sit there and be able to pay attention. So he does a great job, very animated, but keeps you in the know and makes you want to go to class. So George, shout out to you. And in retirement, he showed the same ambition. He's great shape, doing some training. So if you're looking for physical training, I would also contact George also. He's got a great training. I think it's G2 training calls it. So shout out, George. Great job. We appreciate it. Thanks for your dedication to the NYPD on and off the job.
All right. So next topic. This comes out of the Daily News. Police veterans with reform chops emerge as potential NYPD police commissioner pick. So who you're looking at on the left, you are looking at Rodney Harrison, former NYPD chief of department, former Suffolk police commissioner. And on the right, you're looking at former chief of NYPD strategic initiatives, Issa Abbasi. He was also the CEO of the 120 precinct, known as a hard charger, definitely a number guy, definitely a guy who partook in the proactive form of policing, and now is a reformer, and so is Rodney Harrison. So, it amazes me watching this, because I put out a statement. I said these two guys are clowns, or they're two losers. I don't remember what I wrote, but all of these cops are coming to bat for them. So I'm like, same cops that are saying Zohran Mamdani is the end of policing are now going to go to bat for these two guys. So I used to say the oldest profession. When I was a kid, I was told the oldest profession was prostitution. As I got older, I realized the real oldest profession was politics. But really, the real oldest profession there is appointed police commissioners. That is the oldest profession. You are the biggest whore ever. All of you sell out. These guys will sell their soul for anything. So they're sitting there telling you that Zohran Mamdani is the end of policing while they're kissing Zohran Mamdani's ass, and now saying, oh, he's got some great ideas around policing. His policing, that's the way we got to go. Less police on the street, civilianize the police. I mean, disgraceful. And everyone's like, oh, two guys, great guys, this, that. John, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, wait. I didn't realize that you have to become the police commissioner for somebody. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that when you're an executive in police leadership, that you're at the beck and call of any politician that calls you. I thought you were men. I thought you had integrity. I thought you had spines. And now what I see is, no, you're actually just a bunch of whores. You're a bunch of whores who will do anything. You'll change your ethos on a dime. You'll change your morality on a dime. You'll change everything you know and believe to be true on a dime. Oh, no, they call me, so I got to do it. I got to be his police commissioner. People are making like it's not their choice. No. It is your choice. You're a man. You have a choice in this world. The only person you have to kneel before is God. You don't have to kneel before a 33-year-old communist socialist. You don't have to kneel before Andrew Cuomo. You never had to kneel before Eric Adams or Bill de Blasio either, but you all did it because you got no spine. You have no balls. You have no morality. You have no integrity. So all of you sitting there saying you're good guy, and I want to fundamentally change policing do not go together, people. It's like community friendly, no locks on doors, and bulletproof glass. Doesn't go together, my friends. Doesn't go together. So good guy. And yeah, I'm going to come in and I'm going to civilianize the NYPD and ultimately dismantle the NYPD. That does not make you a good guy. You might be a nice guy, but what it makes you is a whore. And we'll get into it further. And that's what you're looking at right now. 2 whores.
Yeah. And puppets. Yeah. But to be fair, those we're going to be talking about these 2, but there have been other guys jockeying up to Zohran Mamdani in the NYPD too. You know,
100%.
Yeah, I've been talking about like the Bangladeshi, the Bengali Association, and the NYPD Muslim Association. Both have been jockeying to Zohran, even though again Zohan's policies don't seem like a Muslim would be supporting it. They don't seem like the Bengali community. All the Bengali guys I know are religious guys who are big into family and would never support any of these policies. You know. Yeah.
So wait. So Muslims don't support sex change operations for kids? I didn't know that because apparently they do now, right? Right? Like apparently they do now, right? Like this is the NYPD. They're whores too, bro. By the way, all that those same two groups, because you're a Muslim, you're a man of God, and you believe the shit that Zohran Mamdani's pushing, or what? What's the real reason? It's because they look at him. Well, he's a Muslim. Is he really a Muslim? Is he really a Muslim? And then it's like, oh, imagine if we were just we were like, you know what? I don't even like this guy at all, but he's Italian. I got to do it because he's a paisan. I got to do it. Then I'd be sitting here saying that I'm going for Cuomo, wouldn't I? I'd be a whore then too. I'd be saying that, oh, Cuomo's got to go because he's the guy, Mo. He's the guy. That's what they're doing, dude. It's disgusting.
It's funny that you say that because, growing up, being Jewish, when I learned, when I was young and learned the first time the phrase Jews for Jesus, I remember when I was young going, Jews for Jesus. What is that, right? So basically, what you're saying is you're Christian or Catholic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the same thing. Like if you're a Muslim that supports, transgender operations, are you really Muslim? I had a lot of Muslim friends. I still do. I had a lot in the Marine Corps, and I know they don't support. It's in their religion. They don't support transgender operations. They're not anti-queer or anti-anything. That's what their religion believes. That's not the way men and women should be. So it's on the same lines to me. What's interesting about this is the political positions we have seen with police commissioners and uniformed members of the police department pandering to who the mayor is. Now, I think the police commissioner should be the person that bridges the gap. And we need someone who's strong, who doesn't politicize that position. Someone who says, you know what? Zohran Mamdani, you want a police commissioner? I could be a police commissioner. I can bridge the gap between you and the rank and file, and here's how I'm going to run it. If you want me, the man for the job, I can do it, and here's how we're going to do it, and not politicize that position and actually do public safety. But what we see with these 2 potential candidates or anyone else that's running for it right now is, okay, sir, you think socialism is great? You want to put the NYPD at the bottom of the pecking order, and they're one-dimensional, and they're only going to do one job? You're right. That's great. We should take a knee. Anytime there's a disaster, we'll have at least 2 chiefs take a knee. Allegedly. I'm just saying, rhetorically speaking. But that's what they'll do. That's not true leadership. A true leader is someone that's not a coward who say, you know what? We don't hear it. We should hear it from these 2 men. You want me to be a commissioner? My job will be to do policing. I'll bridge the gap. I'll keep you informed of how I'm going to run it. Here's my policies, how I'm going to run it. But that's not what we're going to hear. It's going to be bend a knee, bend a knee, bend a knee. I guarantee if any of these gentlemen become police commissioner under Zohran Mamdani, prepare for the next disaster. I guarantee you, I'll put my money. It won't only be Monahan taking a knee. You'll see someone else taking a knee. I put my money on it.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ralph goes. So Ralph, great, because this is the thing from everybody that's friends with Harrison and Issa or whoever else is going to whore themselves out to be to come down and bring in the destruction of the job. How do you suggest the PC position is filled? And who would be your ideal candidate if Kami Mamdani wins? My ideal candidate would be a Tiffany Caban or somebody like that. Let them fail on their face. What no one realizes what's happening in policing, everyone that claims to love this profession does not sit there and look at what's happening in this profession. What happened? What did the commie Bill de Blasio do? Did he take a radical Tiffany Caban or an AOC and make them the police commissioner? No. What did he do? He went to the guy that you respect, Bill Bratton, who created broken windows theory, who pushed broken window theory, who was a major factor in transforming this history, in transforming this city from a city of crime to a place that looked like Disneyland. He was a major factor, and he went to Bill de Blasio and he said, to Bill Bratton, he said, you're going to do everything that I say. My entire progressive agenda is going to come through you. And you know what Bill Bratton did? He pulled his pants down and he spread his ass cheeks. That's what he did. And then he took it all over his face. And then he followed it up with Jimmy O'Neill and Dermot Shea and the rest of these losers. You don't realize what's happening. These progressives are defunding the police. They're moving it towards an abolishment of the police, and they're using the police to do it. No. Screw that. Why are you going to be used? Why are you going to let people use you and your good name and destroy your integrity, destroy your name? These are men that had great careers in the NYPD. Great careers. Great cops. Terry Monahan, great cop. How's Terry Monahan remembered now? Is he remembered as a great cop? No, he's remembered for taking a fucking knee. That's what he's remembered. He threw 30 years down the toilet bowl for that fucking piece of shit, Bill de Blasio. And that's what's going to happen with Zohran Mamdani. You're going to take guys, and I'm not even going to say Rodney Harrison had a great career. And Rodney Harrison only had a good career because he could speak and because he's black. And anybody that wants to say any different than that, I'll debate anybody, because we'll get into Rodney Harrison and we'll get into how great of a job he did in Suffolk on top of that, but we'll get into all that stuff. But that's what's happening. They're coming to you and they're saying, well, you got your $15,000 a month pension, but I'll get you a $35,000 a month pension. And then I'm going to get you a $600,000 job afterwards. And they're like, okay, boss, hold on. Pants down, bend over, and they go home and they kiss their wife on the mouth. I'm sorry. It's disgusting, dude. I'm enraged by it. Let him have a Tiffany Caban. Let Tiffany Caban fundamentally change the NYPD. Let them get destroyed. Let people see what happens when you vote for this insanity, instead you being the one to bring it down and have your name behind this bullshit, because that's what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen to Issa Abbasi when he becomes the PC? He's going to be remembered as the biggest scumbag that was ever in policing, ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, John. I listened to, in going down that rabbit hole, I listened to a 40-minute podcast from him last night. It's Chief Talk. So if you want to go Google it and find out, you'll see it. Chief Talk, episode 51. But anyway, I listened to it multiple times because, I kept wondering, am I missing something from this guy? This guy, he talks a good game, but everything he spoke about was in terms of, he spoke in vagaries and abstractions, and I'm like, this guy seems to me like an empty vessel who immediately as he gets into the PC's office is going to whatever the dictates of progressives are, that's going to happen. And the fact that he comes from strategic initiatives is also your other clue what's coming. Because again, as I've said, a lot of the crazy, wacky, progressive stuff that they're pushing into the PD, like DEI and all those stupid videos that they force you to watch, are coming down from strategic initiatives. And he was the chief in charge of that. And by the way, he was the chief in charge in 2022 when the mandate officially dropped. Part of it, the date was when it first dropped was in November, and they suspended you. But in February of 22 is when the date really dropped. It was the deadline. So again, he was up there when all this re-engineering of the NYPD was happening, and the re-engineering the ideas are coming from progressives and academics from strategic initiatives. And you'll see as we go around, I'll mention it again, what he did in Patterson seems to me, it seems like it makes the job worse, and it further pushes the re-engineering of police from how it traditionally was, and I don't think it benefits the boots on the ground.
So let's be real. What's happening here is exactly what I've been saying, is that we hear about a mass exodus, right? The mass exodus we had under Eric Adams. And it's almost like this fear mongering. If Zohran Mamdani becomes the mayor, everyone's going to leave, right? And you know what? That may be true. But here's why. Here's why the cops will leave even more when Zohran Mamdani becomes the mayor, even more than now. It's not because of Zohran Mamdani. It's because of two cowards like this who will pander to Zohran Mamdani and not police in the way the rank and file knows that police work should be done. And rather than bridging the gap between the mayor and the police department, saying, here, if you want me to take this job, here's the policies, here's how we will police, here's what needs to be done. If you support my NYPD, I will be a police commissioner. But that's not what they're doing. What these guys will do is, yeah, no problem. Just like John said, spread their cheeks, these guys, and that's why I say it. You want us every time there's an event, we'll take a knee? Sure. Our de-escalation tactics will be take a knee? We'll do it. These guys will completely change NYPD policy and NYPD tactics to pander to Zohran Mamdani. That's why you'll have a mass exodus, not because of the mayor, because of the police commissioner, because of the leadership of the NYPD. That's why you'll have a mass exodus. If you really think about it, the mass exodus of the NYPD, yes, Eric Adams ultimately is to blame of failed administration, but who is really to blame? It's the failed NYPD leadership that pandered to Eric Adams, that did not acknowledge the corruption that's going on in this administration. It's the failed leadership of the NYPD that led to a mass exodus, a recruitment problem. It's also the failed leadership and the failed pandering right now that will lead to a further exodus. So that's really what's going on. It's the weak leadership of the NYPD. So they'll take a knee. That's what's going to happen. They'll bend the knee over and over, and that's why we'll have the mass exodus. So if you're running for this job, if you want to be police commissioner, you want to be remembered by the police work you did, or you want to be just like Bill Bratton. You could be Bill Bratton 1, who did a great job in the 90s, or you could be Bill Bratton 2, who will be remembered because he pandered to former Mayor Bill de Blasio and didn't police in the manner that he knows. Everything that he preached, he did not do under former Mayor Bill de Blasio because he wanted that job, because it became about him. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So remember, just like John mentioned before, Terrence Monahan, who was known as a cop's cop, he finished as a complete coward because he finished on one knee. And when you're on that knee, you can't get up from that knee. Once you bow down, it's over. So anyone that's running or petitioning for this job right now as police commissioner, unless you take the stance that we will not take a knee, and this is how we're going to police, and my police force will be supported as the police commissioner, if there's anything different than that conversation, you're only taking the job for you, for your own self-image. Because don't tell me that an intelligent guy or intelligent men like these two NYPD executives, don't tell me that they don't know how the police department should be run. And don't tell me that they don't know that Zohran Mamdani's policies are just completely polarizing to policing, and they'll never work, and making it unsafe for even, listen, I don't agree with this whole democratic socialism, and I don't agree with these people wanting to help emotionally disturbed first before the NYPD. But if that's what they want to do, these guys will do it, because they're going to say, just like we hear right now, how great Eric Adams is, and you heard it from John Shell. Oh, he let us play offense. You'll hear how great Zohran Mamdani is and his plan's working, and our social workers, they handle the jobs, and the NYPD's really assist to them. That's what you will hear. Shame on them. get your knee pads ready. Because if Zohran Mamdani wins and these two potentially become police commissioners, if you're rank and file right now, get yourself in Home Depot. They sell the nice knee pads. If you're fixing tile, because that's what you're going to need. You're going to need. Get a pair of knee pads because that's what's going to happen.
No, you're right, dude, and that's what it is, And I'm sorry to get upset and curse, but like it's disgusting because it's so self-serving, and the line will be like, oh no, I'm doing it for the cops. No, you're not. You're doing it for your pocketbook. You're doing it for your pocketbook. Your two daughters that didn't deserve to be detectives, those two, you're selling them out. Your grandchildren, you're selling them out. And why are you doing it? For money. That's why you're doing it. You're doing it for money. No, let these progressives, let Eric Adams come in and do all that stuff. Let them push vaccine mandates. And then the other thing we didn't even talk about is like the protest settlement agreement just went into effect. Let their name be behind it. I know Ed Caban doesn't know anything about policing, was never a cop. I understand that. So I don't hold Ed Caban any weight. He has no water anyway. So he just did what he was told. He was like, yeah, this is a game changer. Like the guy's an idiot. Like, so I don't care about him. I'm talking about men that I looked up to. I wasn't a Bronx guy, but I looked up to Terry Monahan. I looked up to Dermot Shea. You know what? And they were the biggest sellouts I ever seen in my life. And I was like, you know what? I would never be like these guys. I don't care how much money. What? I got to have an above ground pool instead of an in-ground pool? What? I drive a Dodge Ram instead of a Escalade? What do I care? What do I care? At least I could look myself in the mirror. I could look my kids in the mirror. I could close my eyes on my deathbed and say, you know what? I didn't sell my family out. I didn't sell my country out. I didn't sell my grandkids out. I didn't sell my city out. And I don't sell the job that I claim to love out either. I didn't sell anybody out. I did anything I could do in this life. Could you guys say the same? Because you can't. And Issa and you, Rodney, could you guys say the same? No. What are you doing? You're kissing this little 33-year-old commie's ass. And I didn't blow them up before, even though we already knew about it. Even though we already knew about it, we didn't blow you guys up. But now that it's out there, let's really talk about it. Let's really talk about it. Did Rodney Harrison catch the Go-Go Beach Killer? Giglio Beach Killer? Absolutely not. He got all the credit for it. Why? Because they wanted to make it like, oh, yeah, this NYPD guy came there. He wasn't even at work. Right? What did he say? He was the Suffolk police commissioner, like less than 2 years. He resigns. What does Rodney Harrison say why he resigns? I just want to spend more time with my family. This job's really labor intensive. I just want to be with my family. And now you have Zohran Mamdani saying that, oh, well, he's trying to sell to us as conservatives, as to law enforcement. Oh, when I come in, my NYPD is going to be not corrupt. I'm going to have integrity. You're not going to have all this corruption. And watch Steven Crowder. He just put out a thing with one of Zohran's campaign managers and how he was saying how this is how he's going to sell the conservatives and Republicans, right? Watch that. Maybe we'll play it at the end. And so Zohran Mamdani's telling you this, right? And so now, but he's going to Rodney Harrison, and Rodney Harrison left as Suffolk PC because he wanted to spend more time with his family. And then what happens? A few weeks after that, what happens? He's fudging his time cards. Suffolk DA says, no, I don't want to prosecute. That's how you're cleaning it up, Zohran? That's how you're cleaning it up, what does Scott Lebedo call him? Mandandy? That's what we'll call him from now. Mandandy. So that's how he's going to clean up the NYPD. You're going to have a guy who was fudging his own time cards. Sounds familiar. Wow. Sounds like an overtime scandal. Sounds like stealing from taxpayers, right? But, don't worry about it because the Suffolk declined to prosecute because, we don't want to put any black men in jail, right? We don't want to put any black men in jail. And this is the guy you're looking at? That guy should never be in policing again. Sorry. And you didn't catch the Giglio Beach Killer, but you took all the fucking credit for it, didn't you?
Yeah. A whole bunch of improprieties, as he ran out the door, and that time he wanted to spend with his family didn't last very long, apparently, because, he's trying to get back in the game right now. So what do we just think of that?
He's on all fours, bro. He's on all fours spread.
Listen, I'm telling you, these guys, if they said moving forward from now on, NYPD gear, NYPD equipment that you must have is a ball gag, you will wear a ball gag from 12 to 2. These guys will do it. I'm telling you, these guys will do whatever they tell. That's why, I'm not mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, Marlon. But this I feel passionate about because I watched, if you have an opportunity, watch Rodney Harrison. He was on Mike Cologne's podcast, New Haven podcast. And I watched Rodney Harrison in better times, right? Better times than now. but it was under former Mayor Bill de Blasio, but it's still better times than now. And clearly, he felt apologetic, and you can see the guilt on his face and what he said about the termination of Daniel Pantaleo. And he said it was unfortunate what happened, but he got the shit end of the stick, but he didn't really want to get into it. Think about it. There were better times now. So what is he going to do under Zohran Mamdani? Forget about it. You'll be terminated on the spot. Sorry, Marlon, but I just wanted to say, people have to watch that podcast.
But that's
Ronnie
a good
Harrison,
point. That's a good point, Eric, because he says that Danny got screwed, right? But what's Zohran Mamdani saying? Zohran Mamdani saying, well, he wanted to defund the police because of Eric Gardner.
Exactly.
Right? And so now you support Eric Gardner, right? Now you think Eric Gardner was murdered and you support the Danny getting fired, right? That's what's happening, and that's what nobody sees. Is like they're hand puppets. That's why that's why everyone's like, oh, what are you getting sexual for? Because that's what it is. Someone has their hand up this guy's sphincter. They're like, oh, here's you and your police career. Here's all the hard work you did. Here's all the respect you have from the rank and file. And now I'm going to do this, and you're going to do it. And they're like, oh, okay. And so like that's a great point, right? It's a great point. No, he thought Danny got screwed, but now Eric Garner got murdered. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. You can't change on a dime. You can't go from being Terry Monahan to how many touches we have and going out there and doing actual police work to saying, you know what? Who thinks we know? What was he saying? We know that people that marijuana arrests don't make us safe. I was like, no, I don't know that. No, I don't know that. If you're going after the right people with the right marijuana, I know that's a great tool. And so do you, Chief. I don't know that. You know that? Or Bill de Blasio told you to know that? Which one it is? And that's what they'll do. They'll just switch on a dime, whatever it is. And then it went to, we're not gonna do broken windows theory anymore. If you guys don't remember Bill de Blasio, we used to go out and enforce minor crimes. Would they tell you, oh, no, we're gonna enforce major crimes? It's like, oh, okay, so you're gonna go with the sanitation and you're gonna clean up the blood and the bullets, and then you're gonna investigate after. That's what you're saying, right? Right? How do you stop major crimes from happening without policing minor crimes? You don't. Right? But that's what they did under Bill de Blasio. That's what Dermot Shea did. That's what Jimmy O'Neill did. That's what Bill Bratton did. That's what they did. That's what Terry Monahan did. That's what they did. They destroyed their names. Yeah, whatever. You got a $600,000 job wherever. Nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares. And you're not going to care either because you can't take it with you.
Let me ask a serious question. If Ronnie Harrison or Abbasi was told, as the police commissioner, you have to wear a ball gag the entire day and you'll get paid $400,000 a year, would they do it? And I tell you right now, the answer is yes. No problem. From now on, you got to wear a ball gag. I guarantee you these guys would do it. They'll do anything for money. These guys, that's why, we hear some trolls here saying that you only talk about sexual stuff. They're whores because they're willing to sell themselves out. That's what a whore is. You're selling your body, right? For money. That's what they're doing, or prestige, or some status. So the bottom line is this. I'm telling you right now, we talk about the nice guy syndrome in the NYPD. If you're a true good guy and you care about the rank and file, for one, you wouldn't take the job under Zohran Mamdani with his policies in motion and his implementation of NYPD is one-dimensional and not being a multifaceted organization and putting them at the bottom of the pecking order. What you'd say is, if I'm the man for the job, this is how I have to run it. If you don't want me to run it this way, I will not be the police commissioner. So the answer is this. If anyone is actually vying for that job right now, you clearly don't care about the rank and file, because every good man or woman that has the capabilities and abilities to be the police commissioner of the NYPD should not even be running for the job right now. You should make it to the point that Zohran Mamdani says, wow, I have to change my whole tactic and my plan because I can't get anyone to do this job. But instead, we're going to have people running for that job like, no problem. What do you need me to do? Yes, the NYPD procedure is this, or we'll change a few. Yeah, you're right. Civilian Complaint Review Board is awesome. They should fire everyone. You're right. That's what we're going to see. Ronnie Harrison knows damn well that Daniel Pantaleo got screwed. And he knows that. He knows that, and he has to live with that. But under Zohran Mamdani, there'll be a lot more Daniel Pantaleos.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say they're not doing it for money, I mean, you look at some of their pensions, and it's probably gigantic, I mean, we talked about like John Chell's pension. He's getting three-quarters pension now. And yet the first thing he did when he left the job was to jump on Twitter and make comments about you guys and Sal. It's ego, and they can't stand no longer being called chief. Can't stand no longer going into a room and people stand at attention for them and yes sir, yes chief, and to compliment all their stupid ideas. I think that's why they just can't leave. But can somebody could somebody make it make sense to me? How can you think Pantaleo was screwed and yet you're jockeying to be commissioner under Zohran, who has already alluded to removing basically removing the PC's ability to discipline officers and putting it in the CCRB's hands. I mean, I don't understand the logic there, But again, it's what John said. These guys are empty vessels, and they'll do whatever the progressives tell them to do. Okay, because if they don't, God forbid, they're no longer called chief anymore. And now, if you guys have a chance, I put up on Twitter a picture of a Abbasi in Patterson. I thought this picture tells you everything you need to know. Okay, and I thought it was hilarious. Okay, because the picture it is larger than everybody else's on a page, and that tells you how these guys think. They just can't stand no longer being called chief. So they could be making nearly $500,000 in the private sector, but they're not chief. They need to be chief, and being chief, even if it means compromising their integrity and morality, okay, and putting the job of policing and the profession, putting it in a worse situation than before. They're going to still do it because at least they're going to be called chief.
Now, obviously, I'm being facetious, right? I'm joking around, but the ball gag. Now, if they had to wear it, I do believe they would. But figuratively speaking, they will be wearing a ball gag because they're going to do exactly what Zohran Mamdani's platform is, and it's anti-police work. Let's be honest. His platform is anti-police work because it puts the NYPD at the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to policing. And ultimately, I think the reality is, if anyone cares about policing, you would say, you know what, Zohran Mamdani, none of us will take the job. None of us will be your police commissioner until you change your position and your platform and your public safety plan. And unless you actually collaborate with law enforcement experience, no one will be a police commissioner. Now put Zohran Mamdani on his heels. But instead, they put the ball gag in their mouth and go, okay, whatever you want, we'll do it. And they'll destroy the entire rank and file. And that's why I say it's important. We hear Zohran Mamdani is getting the blame for the potential NYPD mass exodus that we're already having. And Eric Adams gets the blame. But ultimately, that's why I think, and John, I know you agree with me because we talk about this all the time, it's the leadership of the NYPD that has created, it's the internal pressures of the NYPD has created the mass exodus. It's only going to go further with Zohran Mamdani because the leadership will pander, and the cops, the rank and file, know damn well how police work is supposed to be performed. They know their mission, they know their job, and it's going to be a complete 180 from that. So it's them who will take a knee. It's them who will put a ball gag in their mouth to do exactly what Zohran Mamdani wants, figuratively speaking or literally, because literally if they had to wear a ball gag, they would. I guarantee it. But figuratively speaking, they will wear a ball gag and they will get on their knees and pander to Zohran Mamdani, and we'll see a weaker version of the NYPD than we've ever seen. You can add 5,000, 10,000 more cops, and still it will be the weakest. And how? And this last point, and here's a major flashpoint. How could anyone in their good mind, if they really cared about the NYPD, cared about New York City, how could you actually run for that job as police commissioner in 2020 at the height of it when they were present and everyone was there and our police officers were getting attacked and the city was under siege? And during that time, Zohran Mamdani referred to the NYPD as racist, anti-queer. You forgave him. Apparently you forgave him. And that's why Ron Layson, great point on our X Space last night, apology not accepted. But apparently they accepted his apology because they're willing to be his police commissioner. Shame on you.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the picture that Marlon was talking about. I mean, look, his pitch is bigger than everybody else's. Like, yeah, Issa, you should have hid, bro, because you're not that good looking, bro. Sorry, I'm gonna call you Lisa from now on. If you become the police commissioner, your name's gonna be Lisa. I'm just letting you know. And you could do all the other shit that everybody else did to us. I don't really care, because it's a joke, So it's a joke, and that's ultimately what I'm saying about. It's not. I'm not. I know we're picking on these two guys, but it's because they're named, and Marlon's right. There's hundreds of people in the NYPD kissing this guy's ass. There's hundreds of people kissing this guy's ass. And it's you couldn't pay me any amount of money to be like, oh, yeah, you're going to be Zohran Mamdani's police commissioner. No, I'm not. Oh, we're going to give you $2.5 million a year. Yeah, no, I'm not. You're not going to destroy my reputation. No, sorry, not going to happen. Sorry. My integrity is worth a lot more than $2.5 million. Yeah, the things I believe, I'm not going against, And so, like, what I'm saying is this is what the progressive left does. This is what the Democrats do. They don't come to you with the Tiffany Caban and say, all right, I need you to bring down the NYPD. No, why don't they do that? Because they're going to be on the front cover of the paper. There's going to be unrest. There's going to be civil unrest. People are going to be like, I'm never voting for a Democrat ever again. So what they do is they go to one of you. They go to somebody you respect. They taint them, and they're like, all right, you're going to do all this. You're going to push all this garbage down to the NYPD. You're going to dismantle the NYPD. And they're like, okay. And then it's like, could you imagine? Just that's what it is, and it's already happened. You had the Bill Bratton, you had the Terry Monahan, you had the Dermot Shea, and this is just a continuation of it. These people, these far left, communist, progressive, socialists, they're never going to pick a radical police commissioner. They're going to use one of the whores from inside of the police department to push their garbage down on you. And you people are just going to be like, oh, yeah, no, I remember him. He was a good cop. No, he was a good guy. He shook my hand. And he's going to tell you all the good things. And then the minute you do something they don't like, you're getting fired. And this guy's not going to think twice about it. He's not going to think twice about it. The minute he gets that edict, yeah, no problem. Whatever it is, whatever you need, boss. Yeah, no problem, boss. Whatever it is. Oh, you want them to take monkeypox shots? Yeah, no problem. I'm not kidding, dude. I'm not kidding. And I don't even feel bad about saying this. I was having a conversation the other day with somebody who's been really on the front lines of this fight for a long time. And I'm not going to say their name because they're still active. But he literally said to me, still in New York, still on the job, still working. He said, I don't even care if these guys don't vote for Sliwa. I hope they mandate the monkeypox shot. I hope they mandate all these shots, because maybe then these guys will wake up to what's happening. Maybe then they're sitting there, they're going to vote for Cuomo and ensure this guy wins. He's like, I hope they start mandating all this stuff on them, because Zohran Mamdani told you he's going to do that. Andrew Cuomo told you he's going to do that, right? He goes, I hope they mandate it on them and their whole family, because this is what they asked for. They're not fighting back. They deserve it, bro. I don't even care anymore. He's like, I'm so done. I don't even care. If it goes south, I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm going to Texas. And I was like, and I'm sitting there, and I never wish harm on people, and I don't. But I'm like, I'm sitting there, and I thought about it after we hung up. And I'm like, you know what? He's right, dude. He's totally right. Like, what's it going to take for you people to wake up and see that we need to fundamentally change who we are as a rank and file of the NYPD, as citizens of New York City? What's it going to take for us to say, we don't want any of you, or nothing you have to do it. You're going to align to us. We're not going to align to you. Take Lisa Abbasi or Rodney, I can't punch my time cards, Harrison. Take any of these guys and push them to the side. Don't say, oh, great picks, good guys. One guy's telling me they're falling on the sword. They're not fucking falling on the sword, bro. They're on their hands and their knees with all four drooling. Yeah, okay, daddy. Okay, daddy. And it's like, it's not even a metaphor. That's
John with the ball gag. With the ball gag.
Dude, it's not even a metaphor. They would do it. They would do it. I used to say it all the time during the mandate. I was like, if Bill de Blasio wants to stick his finger in my wife's ass, do I have to let him, because he told me it's safe and effective, and then no one will get it? Do I have to let him stick his finger in my wife's ass? And everyone's like, why are you saying it like that? I'm like, because that's what you're telling me. It doesn't make any sense what you're telling me. Is that what he needs to do? Does he need to stick his finger in my wife's ass? And then, oh, honey, you know, I just got to do it because I'm not a top paid lieutenant yet, and I didn't get my 20 years in. And then, you know, they put me in for the money, so I got to get the money. So he just got to, you know, it's gonna be good, honey. You know, he's gonna stick his finger in your ass, and then we're gonna go on. Everything's gonna be good. I'm gonna go to the Christmas party, take a picture with him, and then Eric Adams gonna come in. He's gonna stick his fingers in your ass. You know, don't worry about it. You know, and you know, and I was going nuts during that time. My wife was like, "Could you please stop saying that?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, like, I'm sorry, but this is what it is. Like, this is what it is." You know.
Oh man, I was laughing so hard I completely forgot my train of thought.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I can tell you this.
I'm sorry,
I
I was so enraged. I'm sorry.
I can tell you this, brother.
Yeah.
They would definitely do it. They would like, what finger? Oh, hold on. They said it has to be the right finger. And you can see these guys, they would parade their wives in. They would have ball gags on. They would parade their wives in. And like, honey, this guy's got to stick his finger in your ass. You know, I got to do it. It's my job, right? That's what's important. You know,
this is rated R, by the way, this podcast. If you're under 18, please sign off. Thanks.
You know what the reality is? The reality is, and I'm serious, if Rodney Harrison or Abbasi said you gotta wear ball gags, I guarantee the union will start working out. Okay. The union's not gonna say, "Oh, guys aren't wearing ball gags." But okay, we want 2.5% a year for now that the cops have to wear ball gags, and we want another 2% because the cops have to wear knee pads. And they're not gonna say, "No, we're not doing this." They're gonna negotiate a contract. So hopefully, if you have to wear ball gags, I'd say 2.5%, and if you're gonna wear knee pads, I'd go for another 2%. I think 4.5% for knee pads and ball gags while you're working for Mamdani's fair. What do you think, Marlon?
Yeah, I think they would absolutely do it. We saw that during the scamdemic, you know. We saw it already, you know, and that's what you said about the union is exactly what the DEA wanted to do, you know. Never mind that the entire thing was illegal. Oh, let's arbitrate it for more money, you know. So it's okay if they do that to your wife. Just pay you 3% more, 2% more, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm almost as black-pilled as that guy was who made those comments, John, last night on our X Spaces. I mean, because Cuomo's telling you what he plans to do with your pensions, where he plans to invest your pensions, and Mamdani's already told you he wants to do the same thing. You know, he's already said public-private partnerships. Okay, so he plans to do the same thing. Okay, and guys like Abbasi, look what he already did to Patterson. Okay, now Joe Mango, I saw your comment in that he's no longer the in charge of Patterson because the state attorney general was sued for basically overreach when he put him in charge of Patterson, and as soon as the lawsuit dropped, the state pulled Abbasi back into the state attorney general's office because they kind of knew this was kind of problematic. And even though the New Jersey Supreme Court has kind of upheld the state's ability to do that, this is not the end of that, and that case is going to get appealed further up. Okay, so but yet we've already seen what Abbasi's done there. You know, bringing body cameras. Think of it for a second. How even worse would your job be if your body camera is on all the time and can detect anything? Basically anything. Okay, these guys are puppets who ruin the job of policing and demoralize you. Okay, and yet some of you are ready to run towards them. You know, you're embracing your own demise while smiling at it, you know. So you guys, you gotta wake up here, you know. And these guys are like we said, they're empty vessels, and they're going to make the job of policing even harder for you. You think it's bad now, or you haven't seen anything yet?
The reason why this is funny, let's be honest, all humor has a little truth to it. And that's why ultimately, listen, we're joking around about ball gags and knee pads and fingers and asses. And it's funny. It's funny because every joke has a little truth to it. The reality is we realized how self-promotion and self-image for these potential candidates for police commissioner is so important that we understand the silver linings and the underlinings that they are willing to go against what they believe in. We know they don't believe in Zohran Mamdani's plan. Let's be honest. Any experienced law enforcement officer does not believe in his plan and knows that his plan will put people legitimately at risk and put their safety at risk. It sounds great. If you don't understand law enforcement on the surface, it sounds great. Let's take off some work off the plate of the NYPD cops so they can really concentrate on public safety and violence. But that's not what he's telling you, right? He wants to really change the face of policing. And so these guys, Rodney Harrison and Abbasi, running for this job, it just shows they really don't care. Because if anyone was a strong person, if you weren't a coward, you would say, hell no. No way under these conditions am I taking this job. No way. If you want anyone to be the police commissioner, that's why there should be almost a coalition where everyone gets together and says, no way will anyone be the police commissioner under these conditions and run the police department in this fashion. But no, instead, these cowards their teeth are seething at this point. They take the opportunity. Well, no one else wants the job. I'll take the job because it's for me. And you're right, Marlon. It's not really about the money. I mean, the money's great, but it's about the position. I'm back in the game, right? I'm relevant. That's what they care about. I see a couple people, by the way, in the chat saying, Deputy Chief Mike Marino for PC, J93 says it. Someone else said it. Yeah, if you check out that episode, by the way, Mike Marino was on here. I thought he did a great job. He shows he still cares about the job. John and I have been in contact with him. We spoke to him several times after that interview. He is a great man for the job. He's a cop's cop, but I guarantee you, Mike Marino would not take the job under Zohran Mamdani with his policies because he's a real man and a real cop that cares. There's no way he would take that job. But the cowards that we see, the leadership of the NYPD now, they're the ones that are willing to take the job because they'll do exactly what he wants. And not only will they do it, they'll tell you how great it is. They're going to lie right through their teeth and tell you publicly, oh, Zohran Mamdani's plan is great. The locker room, the morale is fantastic. Does that sound familiar? Because Fat Triple Neck told us how great morale was. And then 2 days after retiring from the NYPD, morale apparently is in the toilet. I don't know about this, but 48 hours before, you were the chief of department. And now you're singing a complete different tune. And that's what these guys will do. They're all cut from the same cloth. In order to excel and speed up and get promoted by rocket fuel in these administrations, that's the line you have to walk. And they're willing to do it. So if it's fingers and asses, ball gags, or knee pads, these bums, they'll all do it.
All right. Anything else on Lisa Abbasi or Time Card Harrison? Anybody else got anything on them?
Yeah. Does anybody know who's the president of the CEA?
Yeah, Monahan, Chris Monahan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 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 But the reason why I mentioned that is because the guys like that, had they, had these union leaders like done their job, okay, and went back to these chiefs and again tell them, listen, this is going to put the job in a worse situation. This isn't a good idea. Had they done that, a lot of these things wouldn't happen. Okay. But I specifically mentioned him because, he's of all the union leaders, he's the one we see even less. I don't even think captains would even recognize him if they saw him, to be honest with you, or chiefs, because they're all part of that same union. But yeah, that's sad situation.
All right, let's go to the next topic. So Jessica Tisch came up with this other great idea. First, she came up with the conditions team where they go after minor quality offenses. She called it the what is it called now? The quality of life. The
Q teams.
She's like she came up with all these crazy ideas. So she came up with this idea that the police department's been doing for 100 years, called the Q teams. And now she came up with an even greater idea. It's called domestic violence investigators, and they're going to be in every precinct. And it's similar to when you have a domestic violence unit inside a precinct now where they handle all of the domestic violence issues. So it's like really, it's really inventive. It's really crazy. Here's the only change though. Here's the one.
Do tell, brother. Do tell.
Here's the one difference though. They're going to finally say that, you know what, these guys do investigative work because they're doing DD5s, they're doing casework, they're making arrests, they're doing the I-cards, picking up people with warrants. So what they're doing now is they're making the DV unit that already exists. I don't know why we're calling it new. I don't know why we're pretending like this is some real thing. What she really did is take them, and now these cops are going to be on track and they're going to fall under the detective bureau. So that's literally the only difference. There's zero difference in the work whatsoever, in the workflow. They already have a chief of domestic violence, so they're not creating a new chief position, unless maybe they do. Who knows? Maybe they'll create a new chief position at a borough level or some shit. But there's a lot of things about that. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I was like, you know what? They're really, like, the numbers of detectives are really low. And so this is an easy, surefire way to bolster the number of detectives. So I don't think it has anything to do with hooking you guys up. And on the other end of it, I think it brings in a big lawsuit for everybody that's been doing this type of work for a long time, or has done this work in the past, working with DD5s, doing iCards. Why weren't you on track? Why didn't you get promoted? Right? Maybe you're no longer doing that work now. So there's a lot of different things there. Ultimately, I think it makes me question why this is happening right at this second in time. And that's why I said, don't be shocked if Eric Adams jumps back in the race in the last minute. Don't be shocked, because everything that I'm seeing is all of these wheels are spinning. And I'm like, this looks like one big deception game. And I really wouldn't be shocked. Now, all of a sudden, it's either that, or now Eric Adams is looking for something to hang his hat on, because he's got nothing. 4 years, like, what has Eric Adams accomplished besides giving you guys contracts that you were so out of contract you were getting anyway? What was his accomplishment? Bill de Blasio gave New York City universal pre-K. What can Eric Adams hang his hat on? He's got nothing. So maybe he's looking to, like, legacy build at this point in his last few months, or he's looking to jump back in the race at the last minute. I don't know what it is.
Or he's setting himself up for a potential second run in the future for mayor. But whatever he's doing, he definitely, I agree 100% with that, John. He definitely seems to be selling out the house on his way out the door. And the gears are shifting, and it seems to be a lot of pandering towards progressive causes. And, we've talked about him taking a trip overseas to Albania, and where there might be some improprieties involving money going on there. But I can tell you, it definitely smells like he's making behind the scenes moves to set himself up for something. Who knows? But it's very curious that this is happening right now. And I just gotta say that I don't think this is going to make any sort of dent in the domestic violence issues that are going on. And is 450 officers going to be enough when the squads are already short of personnel? I mean, my other question for this is, how long before they get to, they get other cases? How long before the squad commander says, hey, you know what? You only got 10 DVs on your queue. You're up next. You're taking this burglary. You're taking this robbery. So I'm curious how this is all going to play out.
I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing. This is what I miss about the police department. So my phone is blowing up right now. A couple of different people I know sent me pictures with people with ball gags in their mouths. That's what I miss about the NYPD, right? We had a good time. The jokes, that's the stuff that I miss. I don't miss the politics and the bureaucracy, but I miss the guys. So immediately when I saw this about domestic violence becoming part of the Detective Bureau, I immediately thought to myself, is this a backdoor deal with the DEA and the commissioner? Because right now, the DEA has been screaming and yelling, that they need more manpower, right? They're losing union dues right now because they're short. The detectives are extremely short. So I think I would guess at this point, my best assumption is that there's a backdoor deal with the DEA and with the union and Jessica Tisch to get more detectives at this point because they need more dues. Scott Moreau has said it. They're really short. They need more detectives. So doesn't change anything, right? This is just a complete rebrand. Now, I will say, throughout my career, shout out to domestic violence officers. They do a hell of a job. The domestic violence sergeant, the entire unit, they do a great job. and they do investigative work. They do the same job, if not more, when it comes to domestic violence than the detective squad does. They do the exact same type of cases. They work with case management. They have a case step process. They do investigative steps. They make apprehensions based on I-cards, which are intelligence cards, where someone is wanted from the NYPD. So that they've always deserved to be on track to be detectives. Nothing has changed. What has changed is manpower. And to me, this is just a complete illusion that they're doing something new. When in reality, the domestic violence officers are doing the exact same job they were doing before. Now, will this change any overlap? There's a lot of times when someone is wanted by the NYPD, if there's probable cause or a suspect, and someone has an intelligence card, right? It could be a suspect or it could be probable cause. A lot of times there's overlap between the detective squad investigator trying to make that apprehension and also a domestic violence cop. So we do have redundant police work. But ultimately, I don't think that's the reason for this. I think the reason for this is to get more union members for Scott Monroe and also get more manpower and give the illusion that there are more detectives in the detective squads than there were before. And that's my assumption and that's my observation based on what I see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think 100%. It's just really weird. Like Eric Adams in the last, like he drops out of the race supposedly, but his name's still on the ballot. And now all of a sudden he's woke up and he wants to be the mayor and he's like doing all these new initiatives and it's really weird. And Special Hagen said, I didn't even see this. I got to look this up. Special Hagen, if you could send it to me, if you see it anywhere. She said that Jasmine Ray, the girl who wrote a book, said she's working to get Eric Adams back in the race. I didn't even see that. It's just weird to me. I'm like, why is he doing this now? Maybe Marlon's right. Maybe it's like it's for the future. He's going to pull a Cuomo in a couple of years. I'll be like, nah, everything was good. That was all political. Everything with Cuomo was political last night. No, it was a political investigation. No, the DOJ? No, I'm not on the DOJ investigation. It's like, yeah, you are, dude. And so like, I think that's what I think. It's just really curious, like the timing of all the stuff. And I'm like, wow, the guy wakes up in the last few months and he wants to be the mayor now. It makes no sense to me. And I could just see it. Like there's been so much deception. And then again, I'm just going to go back. Those same Midwest social media influences, the ones that were all pushing Eric Adams, the Brianna Morello, Johnny MAGA, all these clowns, right? They're all sitting there. Now they're bashing Sliwa. You came out of that debate bashing Sliwa, not Mamdani, not Cuomo. You came in there pushing for Cuomo and not pushing for Sliwa. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, why are they doing that? And because ultimately, I think what they want to do is they want to get Sliwa out of the race and get Eric Adams back on that Republican primary. Like I that's what it seems to me. I know Curtis isn't going to do it, so it's a joke. But don't think for 1 second he doesn't jump back in. And if he jumps back in and you morons are still, what are you going to do? You're going to vote for Eric Adams again? You're going to go from I'm voting for Eric Adams, then I'm voting for Cuomo, then I'm voting for Adams again? You morons, you have to think of this. Vote for Curtis Sliwa. He jumps back in. He splits the vote even further. Sliwa doesn't even need 34% of the vote. He probably needs about 26% then. Like, you got to think. You got to use your brains. They're like, where's the numbers? They're right in front of your damn face. You're talking to a high school horror show when it comes to math. Like it's right in front of your face. This isn't hard stuff. This isn't sequential math. This isn't chemistry. This is right in front of your face here, people. Boom, split. Watch what's happening. There's a lot of deception going on. I think, again, the DV thing, I don't know what it's about. It's a joke to me. But I also did hear someone just sent me they did transfer the sergeants around, though. They're transferring people out of their commands and sending them to different commands. So I don't know what the hell that's about either. That's another, great idea, Chief. Yeah, great idea. Let's just transfer these guys out. Yeah, okay.
But all kidding aside, shout out to the DV cops. They do a hell of a job. There's a lot of casework. They get an extreme amount of cases bogged down. They should have gotten it a long time ago. They should be on track to get detected. No one should be doing that job for 3, 4, and 5 years, busting their ass, and then they have to, if they're not in the top tiers of the NYPD, if they're general population, then they have to apply to get themselves to a detective squad and then work their asses off. Most of them end up going to special victims. and they work really hard. So shout out to them. If you're a DV cop right now, I know the stuff that you do, especially in ECMS, the Enterprise Case Management System. They do a hell of a job, and they get way too many cases, especially in Police Service Area 7. They're getting domestics all day. A hell of a job that they do. And the detective squad needs them.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna say so. So one of the reasons why they're doing that is because, you know, DVs have increased dramatically since 2020, and I think it's, if this is an honest, authentic, or actual attempts to you know, mitigate the situation, then, you know, okay, I'll give it to them. But I think this, in the absence of having more cops on the job in total, all you're doing is shifting around the same manpower. Okay. And there's still units that are still short. We've talked about, you know, patrol being short in certain precincts, only having like 3 cars out for the night. Okay. So the underlying problem is you need more cops. Okay. You need more cops. You can't, again, this city has 1 million more people in it than it did in the 90s. And we're going back to like early 90s levels of policing. So we need more cops. And, you know, something to keep in mind also, one of the reasons why DVs are increasing, and I believe they're going to continue increasing, is because there's a connection between economic uncertainty and DVs. As you know, as the economy kind of as there's more upheaval in the economy, and there's job losses and there's pressures, I mean, your bills don't decrease, right? The bills are still there, and people aren't getting paid the same amount equitable to the rise in inflation. It causes domestic problems. It puts pressure on domestic relationships with these changes. And you can see, as from 2020, when the scamdemic first occurred, and again, there was tons of job losses and small business losses. From that time onward, the DVs have increased. And you know, I put up a couple of charts on Twitter, and it's not a coincidental. And there've been studies before that have proven this. So I think this is in a response to that. But again, I don't think it's going to solve the problem, because there's not enough cops. We still need more cops. Okay, you need. There's a problem that underlines all of the issues facing the police department, and it's the fact that it's short of policing, it's short of manpower, and this doesn't. I don't think it will move the needle really.
I want to push back on this. J93 says DV cops get on track. So what does that mean? The NYPD personnel knows what that means. If you're an outside law enforcement agency or police enthusiast, get on track means that in an 18-month period of doing investigations, you will automatically be appointed to detective. We all know most are there because they can't do street work on anti-crime or now public safety or neighborhood safety. They scam their DV home visits or run from collars. I mean, obviously, J93, you have a complete bias towards DV. I don't think that's true at all. I mean, it's a different type of it's a different apparatus. It's a different type of policing. I've had anti-crime cops who did a great job doing DV, and I had anti-crime cops that end up doing DV, and it just didn't work for them, and it just wasn't a good fit. And there are plenty of great cops in DV that would be great anti-crime cops, or some of them wouldn't be good anti-crime cops. It's a different type of policing altogether. I mean, I've had some cops that were multifaceted that do a great job in any position you put them in. And for some, I think it's a different type of job. But ultimately, I do think the DV cops that do a great job, and most of them do, deserve to be detectives. They do investigative work. The majority of their work is investigations. They have a very similar step process, just as a detective investigator, a squad would do on a domestic violence case. So there's a lot of overlap, and they work together. So as a whole, I think the DV cops are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, again, like, so if Lisa Abbasi or Timesheet Harrison gets in, I think that ultimately this is the biggest problem in the NYPD right now, is the manpower and how it's being utilized. And I think also a huge problem is the promotions and how they're being divvied out. And not even just the promotions into units, into transfers. And what I've been saying for a long time, even when I was on the job, is there's no career path for cops. So there should be multiple career paths for you to excel as a cop and go further and go on to be a detective. DV should be one of those career paths, as well as conditions to crime. You should have to have done patrol to do all that, right? You shouldn't be like Dermot Shea's kid or Timesheets Harrison's kid and go 2 days on patrol, right to intel, right to the detective squad, get your detective shield. No. You should do X amount of years on patrol. 5 years, you could go to an investigative assignment. Maybe within 3 years, you could go to a Q team or a crime team or something like that, or a DV team. You shouldn't be in DV with 6 months on the job either, right? This should be, you worked hard on patrol, you did a good job, and now we're moving you on to a more investigative assignment or a more enforcement-related assignment. And you should ride up those chains. That's not what's happening here. And the other thing is right now, like DV was backfilling on patrol, right? And they're running 3 cars now. Now under this new DV unit, they can't backfill patrol no more. So now you got a big problem. Now you got a real big problem because now it's less cops on patrol. It's less people that you could actually pull from the command. And I'm not saying that DV is not important. It absolutely is. It's just as important as sex crimes, which is also understaffed. It's just as important as child abuse cases, which is also understaffed. It's just as important as homicide cases, which is an awful understaffed. It's just as important as narco and gang and all these other investigations that are also understaffed. And, and so what you're seeing is the NYPD begin to implode on itself. And there's still no path for anybody. So they're not going to restore morale. So these problems continue to get worse. And that's why we're sitting here and saying, if you don't vote for Curtis Sliwa, you're voting to the end of the policing. It's that simple. It is that simple. If you support the NYPD, you're voting Curtis Sliwa, rain, shine, sleet, hail, snow. You're voting for him whether you win or lose because you're like, I'm not giving my ass to these guys. I'm not letting them destroy the city. I refuse to do it. He's the only one with a plan that will restore morale. He didn't really get to highlight his CCRB plan yesterday, even though it came up. And this is a big, big problem, dude. And you're 100% right, Eric. There's a backdoor deal. Ralph Salento brought it up on here. He said that there's only 4,500 detectives now. There used to be upwards of 7,000. So the cases have only increased because there's more people in New York City. There's more criminal activity in New York City than when there was 7,000 detectives. So it's a big, big problem. Ralph, we don't take calls, but we'd love to have you on one day. Hit us up. We'd love to get you on the show. And then, afterwards, do something. We could jump on the round table with us and stuff like that. Get your thoughts on all this. So, but I think ultimately that's the problem. There's no career path in the NYPD. Now they're trying to put a quasi career path in there, but again, they're just hurting the patrol numbers, and it's not going to solve domestic violence. And nobody finds it funny, right? What did Jessica Tisch say? Since 2019, domestic violence is up. Domestic violence crimes are up 40%. Why? Very hard to manipulate domestic violence.
Great points. I agree with you that the career path there needs to be more, but it doesn't strike me as this being a great idea with what we got like three, maybe 3.5 months left in this administration. It doesn't strike me as a good idea to reallocate manpower to that extent. And potentially create a shortage of manpower on patrol with only 3.5 months left before the end of this administration. Because whoever comes in January, Mamdani's already put out his plan there, and whoever comes in is more than likely going to readjust things again. So in 3.5 months, we're gonna see manpower shifting again. So I just, John has talked about the backdoor deals going on. So my question is, who exactly is the backdoor deal in between? Is it between Adams and Scott Monroe and the DEA, or could there be other people involved? Because again, this seems like a last minute change that might be very problematic, going into the next administration. And most certainly it's problematic for morale. Okay, because you're shifting these guys around, you're moving sergeants to different precincts, and come January, they might be moving again, So I have questions about all of this going on right now, you know?
Yeah, no, I was the one who had mentioned that because I think that there is a backdoor deal that actually led to this. I thought a lot about this when this initially came out. And I was a special operations lieutenant, so I oversaw domestic violence. And I saw the need for it and how important it is, especially when I was working in Police Service Area 7, which is in the South Bronx. Even in a command as violent as it was on the streets of New York City, still 37% of the crime at the time, I don't know what it is now, but at the time when I was there, 37% of the crime in PSA 7 was domestic violence or domestic violence driven. So that's almost 50%. So almost half of the crime in PSA 7 was domestic violence. So when John, you said you cannot manipulate those crimes, that's absolutely true. So you really can't change the apparatus of domestic violence. You have to put a full effort on it. And the domestic violence cops can't be bogged down doing patrol, because once you get away from domestic violence or it gets away from you, it's really hard to tackle it. When the job converted to the ECMS program that they're at now, and each cop started to have their own cases in domestic violence, it took a long time to actually get a handle on those cases, because it's just the cases never stop as these cops are trying to handle it. They just keep coming in. Domestic violence doesn't stop, and you can't manipulate those numbers, as John said, because that's something that happens indoors and is reported by an actual complainant. It's not something that's is what we call a pickup or self-initiated that happens indoors. It's someone reporting it, or a neighbor hears something and they call. So there's always, I would say 9 out of 10 times, there's a 911 call attached to it, unless there's a domestic violence situation outdoors, which a cop happens to see. So these are things that are actually reported. There's documentation, so you can't change those numbers. So Nike had 27 said, make iCard sweeps great again. I think I have an idea who that is now. We used to do iCard sweeps in PSA 7, which were great. And so someone here said DV doesn't do investigative work. Maybe some DV cases, DV units don't. I don't know. But I can tell you this: in PSA 7, the DV cops, we did investigations. They did a hell of a job, a great job. You cannot manipulate that. So I'm happy for them that they're actually on track now. It's about time. They deserve it. I just don't think the intentions behind this were because it was for the betterment of the cops. I think there was a backdoor deal, like, hey, we need more guys to actually be detectives because we need union dues. And ultimately, I think the decision was made. Obviously, these are all assumptions, because it would make sense for the department, because if you remove responsibility from the precinct, they won't be utilized, as John said, for patrol, or utilized for all-out or mobile field forces, and taking away from domestic violence. Because unfortunately, some of the leadership that I saw in PSA 7 and other places didn't understand the veracity of what goes on in domestic violence, and they would try to utilize that personnel for other things, and it would really hurt the domestic violence unit. So this ultimately makes sense, just the intentions behind it, I don't believe were there for the purposes of the cops and also for the vision of policing.
No, yeah. I mean, and you know, like, you got to think like, well, why, you know, people still probably say, like, why wouldn't they manipulate crime stats for DV? And it's like, one, when it comes to child abuse cases, if you don't report it, it's a misdemeanor. You're getting arrested. And I know people that in situations that have been investigated for that, and they didn't even do anything wrong. They reported it, right? Like, you got to report cases of child abuse to ACS. That's a DV incident, right? And then even on DV jobs, like, you have a big problem if you just shit can a DV job or you mark it differently, because there's a lot of people looking at that report. And the other thing is, what's significantly different about DV reports than other complaint reports that the police department takes, or other criminal reports, is domestic violence reports. The victim actually tells their story, right? So what are you going to do as a cop? What are you going to do as a sergeant or a lieutenant? You're going to take that person's story that spells out a felony assault, that spells out numerous crimes, and say, oh no, I couldn't read that, and then write it, and then write a different report. No, you're not going to do that, because you're literally perjuring yourself right there. Right? You're literally committing a crime right there. And that's the difference between domestic violence. That's why, like, and so how does that correlate to regular crime? If domestic violence is up, street crime's up. If hate crimes are up, street crimes are up. If assault on cops are up, street crime's up. You know, it's stupid. It's the craziest thing with all these other factors. They're like, oh yeah, no, it's up there. Oh yeah, it's up there. Oh, but not here. It's like, yeah, okay. Like, what are we, idiots? Like, oh, just the one spot that you can manipulate crime numbers, those are the numbers that just happen to be down. Yeah. doesn't make any more sense. Yeah, so I don't know. Anything else on the DV before we get off that?
I just want to say this. I mean, to the DV cops out there, I see there's a lot of pushback. Some people are supporting DV, but some people are saying, all they do is these stupid visits. Now, I will say this. From the oversight that I had in domestic violence, NYPD understands, or outside law enforcement agencies, but if you're a police enthusiast, these DV cops are required to do full investigations, and along that investigations are required to visit residences on a constant basis to check on people, check on families that have been a part of domestic violence. And I think that takes away from their job. I always thought it was kind of stupid. There are some homes, that for potential for violence that require follow-ups and visits, but to visit homes on every case, it's just too much. And most of the time, I can say this from my experience, when the cops go to follow up and do a visit, usually the door gets slammed on them. They don't want the cops responding. They've already had a situation. They've called, and think about it. If you're having a domestic violence case to the point that you have to call the police, it's a lot of embarrassment there. And then if your neighbor calls, there's a lot of embarrassment. So for most time, when the cops respond on follow-ups, the door gets slammed. So I think they should move away from that. It's extra work that just doesn't make sense. I understand it, but it really doesn't make sense. It's just extra redundant work.
Yeah, Inspector Leeson from the executive perspective, which you guys should be watching, by the way, because they had a great week. And them and the 10-4 Tavern also had a great week. They kind of changed the formatting of the tavern a little bit, and I think it's fire. But in response to Inspector Leeson's comments, KB says, will the new mayor move this function to his non-NYPD public safety unit? And the problem is that it may not be a public safety unit per se, because Zohran Mamdani's community Department of Community Safety seems to be focused more towards mental health responses. But the issue is that you still need police for that, because if mental health professionals, civilians are going to be going towards the homes of guys who have mental psyche histories, they're going to want to cop that. Trust me. And you merely have to look at the incident with Win Rosario as an example. So you're going to need cops for that. So now my question is, where are you going to find those cops? Well, you'll probably have to dismantle things like this unit here, because you can't find them on patrol. Patrol doesn't have enough people. So then, therefore, we're going back to the same problem. Say the underlying problem is you need more cops.
Yeah, 100%. And somebody said it on here. I don't know who the hell it was. They said, well, they won't be doing patrol, but they'll be going a ton of details.
They'll be going to all out details.
Yeah, 100%. You're right.
They'll be utilized.
Right. But they'll still be running. They'll still be away from their job anyway, right? So it's so funny. Sure. All right. So I think we hit everything for today. We were only going to go an hour and a half, and yet we're on 2 hours. I do have that undercover thing from Steven Crowder if you guys want to go a little longer. It's a pretty long video. We could stop in between. It's up to you guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm used to 3 hours, so my ass is okay.
Yeah. You want more of us, chat? If you want more of us, give us a thumbs up for the chat.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we got 950 something people on here. So.
I don't know if they want to hear about that stuff. I think they want to hear about knee pads and ball gags and fingers and asses.
No more. I'm done with that. And
like
I'm sorry to Lisa Bossi and Timesheets Harrison. I apologize. Well, not really. I'm it's telling the truth. It's harsh, I'm not like so sorry about it. But it has to be said, And it's not just them, dude. It's not just them. It's everybody. It's everybody jockeying for position. It's like we're picking on them because they came out in the news, but it's everybody. Like you really like. There's integrity of two things. There's actually having integrity, and then there's just talking about integrity. And a lot of people are just all talk, and it's all bullshit. And it's all about like, oh yeah, no, I love cops. Like, do you really, dude? Do you really? Would you really do that to yourself? Would you really put your name behind that? I mean, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing? Why is it worth it to say I was the police commissioner in a failing department in a crumbling city? Like, is that what you want your legacy to be? I'd be much happier to be like, oh yeah, they offered me the PC job, and I told him to go fuck himself. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
That's my point. That's what I was trying to tell you earlier. If anyone had any balls right now, They would all stick together. There'd be a coalition until he changes his platform or public safety plan. None of us are taking this job. Could you imagine they all got together, seriously, and said, we're not taking this job and you can't find a police commissioner? He'd have to change his stance, but it will never happen. Look, they take the opportunity, like, oh, they don't want it? I'll take it. I want it.
Yeah. And like, let him put the radical as the police commissioner. Let him do that. Let the Democrats show you exactly who they are. They're anti-police. They want to fundamentally change policing. They want to civilianize it. They basically already did. Why are all these groups jockeying for Zohran Mamdani? Because they're a bunch of traffic agents, dude. They should have no business having guns anyway. They had no business having guns anyway. No business being on the job. They would have never passed the physical. They suck out in the street. They're getting robbed off duty with their guns on them. Like, they're getting robbed on duty. Like, what they're getting beat up every day. Like you call 911, they show up. Like, you call 911 again? I'm not. I'll be like, the police? Yeah, all right. And like, what happens then? It's a complete breakdown of society. What do you get? Then you get vigilantes, right? It's a joke, dude. So this comes out. Crowder, he does his old, the old thing that everyone's doing, because what ultimately is it? Everybody's a honeypot. Most guys are suckers, and they think miraculously some pretty girl comes up to them, thinks they're good looking, and all of a sudden, oh, this girl wants to talk to me and hang out with me. They get the guy drunk, and then he starts spilling the beans about everything. So they just did this. We just did this. They just Steven Crowder had an undercover do this to one of Zohran Mamdani's guys. So listen to this. This is pretty wild. I'm gonna have to stop it a little because they might take us down with this. But we'll go back and we'll keep showing you. But listen to this. This is pretty wild.
Hey, tonight is the New York City Mayoral Debate featuring Mamdani, and I want you to watch the following clips and understand that Robert Akla is a political consultant. He has been for 14 years. He's currently a citywide canvas director for Mamdani's campaign and spent some time with Mug Club undercover. Maybe someone at the debate could ask Mamdani if he will, in fact, demand that the NYPD block ICE from doing their job, orchestrating an armed standoff. Anything else you want to know? Watch these clips.
Like 4 of the people that I worked with on AOC's campaign are actually on Zohran's campaign. And then a couple of people that I worked with Jamal Bowman's campaign are actually on Zohran's campaign. It's not like this just came out of nowhere. Like, not at all. Like, this has been a coordinated, organizing effort for since 2014. I walk out of the office, guess who walks in? 5 police officers and Zohran Mamdani.
Why was there 5 police officers with them?
We're protecting our big dog.
So, what if Mamdani wins? Will he be able to stop ICE from coming in here and taking our undocumented citizens?
Make it harder for them, but the only thing he can do is stop the NYPD from helping them. And right now, Adams is letting the NYPD help them.
Right, but we would have control over the NYPD afterwards,
he can go to the NYPD and be like, do not let them into the courthouse.
And what would they say?
Well, ICE wouldn't be able to go in.
What did the police think about Zohran? Because I know that's a little contentious.
Just what they think. You're a city employee. You get told what to do. Shut up.
And that's the mentality right there, right? Remember when they went undercover on Adams' guy? And he was like, well, they better take the shot. Who gives a shit about them? That's a great job. Oh, yeah, you might get killed or shot, but other than that, it's a good job. You remember that? This is the attitude of Democrats. This is the attitude of Andrew Cuomo. It's the attitude of Eric Adams. This is the attitude of Zohran Mamdani. This is the attitude. And listen to how they said it was a coordinated campaign since 2014. 2014 to myth build AOC's, Jamal Bowman's, now it's Zohran Mamdani. What do you think about what he said so far?
Yeah, I think that's the elitist attitude that dominates City Hall and dominates the civilians at the upper echelon of the NYPD and the chiefs too. You do what you're told. Your compliance is everything for these guys. And as we see going forward, like we said, you guys are welcoming in your own demise. And if there are a lot of planned ideas that I won't go into here because, we're going to need a 10-hour podcast for that. But a lot of those changes you're going to absolutely hate. and the changes don't keep you in mind because they don't think much of you. They think you're a peasant and you should do as you're told.
Marlon, you're spot on, brother. When it comes to the elitist, I remember, working in Manhattan, the Lower East Side, and Lower East Side is interesting. It's like a mixed bag. You could be on the corner, and I would get some of the most violent perpetrators, but there would also be some elitist walking around with some big money. It's an interesting, it's a mixed bag. Like everyone lives there, and they always looked at the cops as peasants. Like you were just shouldn't even be bothered with, rather than respect for a noble profession. But they looked at you as peasants. And I think what's interesting about it is what he said here. So it's so true. It goes back to the mandate. What do you say? They're city workers. They just do what they're told. That's it. So I hate to side with Tim Pool, but he was right. When he said the NYPD are a bunch of commies, he's right. Because whatever we're told to do, we're going to do it. And that's why shame on anyone that's vying for this position right now as police commissioner. Because what you're saying is, I'll go against anything I believe in. I'll go against what is necessary, what I know is effective, and the expertise of policing, and I'll support your plans, Zohran Mamdani. Rather than having a coalition of everyone getting together saying no one will take this job. Now, I think KB said it, or someone else, that they'll find someone in this country to do it. Good. Let them find someone to do it. As John said earlier, Marlon alluded to it also, let them find some radical that has no idea about policing and let them destroy it. But don't be a part of it. If you're a good standing person and you've had real experience in a law enforcement agency, especially within the NYPD, and your name is picked out of a hat as a potential police commissioner, this is the time to put your big boy pants on and say, hell no, I'm not taking this job. Are you crazy? I'm not taking this job under these policies. I'll bridge the gap between you and the NYPD, but here's how I will run it. And if I can't run it that way, then it's time to go. Apparently, there was only one Carmen Best. It took a woman to actually stand up and say, unless I get to run it, I'm not going to do it. So, unfortunately, what we found is weak men in the NYPD. They're all nice guys. We talk about the nice guy syndrome, but are they good guys? These guys will put a ball gag in their mouth. They'll get on their knees. And he's exactly right what this guy just said when he was caught undercover. They're city workers. They'll do what they're told. If they're told to become Nazis, they'll do it. If they're told to get the monkeypox shot, they'll do it. They'll do what they're told. And he showed you right there how little what he thinks about the NYPD or any other city agency in New York. He told you right here. So if you're a potential candidate for police commissioner right now, is that your take on your men and women? That they're peasants and they'll just do what they're told? So if that's what you believe in them, the same goes for you. Yeah,
that's absolutely what they believe in, Eric. Guys like Abbasi and Harrison, that's 100% what they believe in. They believe that again, they know what's better for you. So you do what you're told, you comply, okay? And God, and if you confront them about how this idea is going to hurt the profession and how it's ultimately going to harm the department, you get thrown to the wolves. And again, I bring up my example with Kufo, Joseph Kufo. When I told him, I told him this is not helpful to the cops, and his response was discourtedy. And look at the results. Was it a good idea? No. But it's how they think.
So, but it's great to watch this dude, right? He's like an ugly guy. He's out of shape. And I know there's a hot girl sitting on the other side of him. And he just miraculously thinks this girl wants to date him. Like, dude, how stupid are you? Like, oh, yeah, she really is interested in me. No, you're a moron. But thank you for being a moron. Thank you for having no moral, no character and integrity and telling us who you are. Like, these guys are so stupid, man. Let's listen to this idiot spill the beans even more. He thinks he's going to get laid, and all he's got is exposed.
When did you get an opinion? You don't have a political opinion. You're nonpartisan. That's the way it should be. Yeah. That is the worst thing they ever did, the cops. They went out there and they said, we endorse Trump. What? They started wearing like Trump things. Now they just elected a very progressive guy. Now, even if he's nice to you, you're looked at as the enemy of him because you endorsed Trump. So whose side are you on?
So they have a lot of like say in the campaign, the DSA.
They were like the big endorsee, and they're like the backbone of the campaign.
Democratic Socialists of America.
Those kids,
What about them?
they are a different level of. They're going to take the whole country. The DNC doesn't really have a lot of power. I worry more about like Hochul,
Okay.
your
What,
state.
yeah, what is she gonna do?
She's the one that has all the money. If you go to Hochul, you tell her I have 60,000 volunteers, and I'm going to say you're the reason that we're not getting this done. You're up for election next year. Well, guess what? You're going to have a primary opponent. And I'm going to tell my 60,000 volunteers to just beat Cuomo and all their money to go work for your opponent. That's how it works. That's the only way you can do it. That's the only thing that they get.
So I mean,
So you heard that? It's exactly what we said, why she came out and endorsed him. She was worried about getting primaried. And that's exactly why, if you noticed last night at the debate, he wouldn't endorse Hochul back. Because who runs the Democratic Party right now? The DSA, right? He didn't have to endorse Hochul back. And that's why I continuously say a vote for Cuomo is a vote for Mamdani. What they're doing right now, Cuomo, they're running the 3-card Mamdani scam. And what's going to happen is Cuomo's going to come for re-election as governor. And guess what he's going to have? 60,000 volunteers behind him. They just told you the scam right there. He just told you the fucking scam right there. I didn't even listen to this earlier. I can't believe that's the scam right there. That's what it is. They bullied the Democratic Party. They bullied Hochul into an endorsement. And then he's like, yeah, I'm not endorsing you back because I'm not even endorsing you. I'm going to endorse somebody else. Who am I endorsing? Oh, the guy that helped me win the seat of the mayor. That's who I'm endorsing.
Yeah, you go, Eric.
Oh, yeah. You know what this also proves? This also proves our suspicions from the beginning. And the suspicions are that Andrew Cuomo really doesn't care about running for mayor of New York City. And if anything, now that we think about it more, I'm thinking that maybe Andrew Cuomo doesn't even care if he wins. This is just redemption time. Get his name back in the hat. Get him some face time so that he can eventually run for higher office. And then Zohran Mamdani is ultimately the winner for New York City. He said it. This has been going on since 2014. The template has been set. It's a sad state of affairs, but it's the reality. And he gave you the reality because he thought he was going to get laid. So he was at most vulnerable at this time and give up all the information. So that was the truth. Everything that he just said was the legitimate truth. And that's what's going on. The New York City agency workers, they're a bunch of peasants. The NYPD will follow exactly the role and the template for the mayor, and they'll do exactly what they're told. So they're confident that no one's going to back down and say, we're not going to run for police commissioner, and this is not how we'll do it. They're confident that there are weak cowards out there that are seething at the mouth and want to promote their own self-image. They know they'll find the right person, and he said it right here. He's smiling again. It's almost like that undercover video with that other idiot. Who's that? Jay Varma. Very similar, where they start to give it all up and almost laughing about it because he's probably so surprised by himself that there are men out there that are so willing to give up their moral principles and their own moral compass for a self-image. And he's almost laughing at it because I think he can't even believe it himself.
I just don't know why he's not wearing a bra either, because those things are hanging out that he's got to come poking out of his shirt. And I guarantee you, he's like in his 30s too. Disgraceful. Oh, this girl likes me. No, she doesn't. I don't think she likes men with breasts. I don't think she likes men with actual that breasts are bigger than ours.
Yeah.
Well, he probably drinks soy.
Yeah, or he's a nepo baby. Boy. More than likely, he's a nepo baby. You know,
yeah, definitely.
I think it's pretty hilarious that in the same sentence he tells you, "Oh, you got to do what you're told." Then he says, whose side are you on anyway? You're supporting Trump.
Yeah.
What? I mean, I don't understand the reasoning. But also in this, they're basically telling you why Eric Adams and Cuomo are basically running against Cuomo 1.0 and Eric Adams 1.0, basically telling you also why Adams seems to be selling the house out to progressives, by the way. basically the Democrat Party has no platform anymore, and a lot of their policies have created a lot of the problems that young people who are more prone to vote for the Democrat Socialists, young liberals vote for the DSAs. The problems that they face are largely created by the policies of Democrats, and I think Democrats know this, and again, they have no more platform, so they have to lean on the progressives to kind of motivate the base and kind of energize the base anymore. So it tells you all you need to know about how things operate over there from this video.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish this video out. Let's see. I think we got a few more minutes of it. I mean, this is definitely a relevant video to what the hell's happening. So, all right, let's go. Let's see what else Moob's got to say. Hold on.
That's it. She's not stupid. That's it.
Yeah. She's gonna
She's better. Yeah. I don't know who's telling her not to.
Oh, I saw Hochul endorse Mamdani.
She got the word. No, she found out. She done found out that we're the Democrat. Wow. Couple months.
What?
A couple months for her to figure out that we're the Democratic nominee now.
Yeah. How did we get her to bend the knee?
We talked. We reached out. They talked. More importantly, it's not so much hopeful. We got the leader of the Democratic Assembly to pretty much endorse our policy.
Okay, why is that important?
Because there's three bodies of government: the Assembly, the State Senate, and then the governor. So we have the governor, we have the Assembly. The State Senate will bend to. For this campaign, the thing that we really keyed in on was South Asian Muslim voters and getting them out to vote, because historically they're registered to vote, but they don't vote. Nobody speaks to their values. They're all a bunch of Israel supporting politics. They can care less. Nobody young, nobody full of hope, nothing. Why the hell would they go vote? Last time they voted was Obama. Hey, this is the only Muslim running for mayor. We win. We'll be the first Muslim ever be mayor. He's the only candidate that wants to arrest President Netanyahu.
You what?
That wants to arrest Netanyahu when they come to New York. We go to the mosques. We organize the mosques. We get the imams to tell people, go vote. We get Zohran to go there and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we do it. That's how you do it. We go to 100 of them in a week. 100 mosques. We get young lesbian white women to go and give out flyers in the mosque. So yeah.
What do you think he says there? That's another one, right? We get young white lesbians to go to a mosque and hand out flyers. I think that's the one fail of the Sliwa campaign. And if you guys are listening, I will say this: Danny Holkauer has a QR code where it's written in Urdu and it's specifically targeted towards the mosques, so that you could put this information out, hand these flyers out at the mosque, and it shows you exactly all the Muslims, exactly what Zohran Mamdani stands for: transgender, gay rights, all the things that are in direct violation of the Quran. So I think it was a great idea. I honestly think you guys should get on that right away, because I believe that Zohran Mamdani really isn't. They call him this radical Muslim jihadist, when really he's a radical communist leftist. He's just playing the Muslim card, in my opinion.
That's what I got from this. They've done a hell of a job. I have to say, they've done a great job at giving a mirage that Zohran Mamdani fits two characters, right? On one hand, if they want to play the Muslim card, he fits it, right? His appearance, his family, his knowledge, he's being supported by the Muslims. But then they're able to actually make that twist and make that 180 and represent him to the liberal Democrats and the young yuppies that he loves gays and he loves soy boys and he loves He loves everyone that doesn't have testosterone. So they've managed to play both sides, and it doesn't fit. But people are falling for it. And look, again, he's smiling here because I think he's smiling the whole time because he's saying it to himself, and it appears to me like he can't even believe himself. Like, people are really falling for this bullshit. That's what he's telling you. It's all bullshit. The whole thing's a mirage, right? The only part he was a little skeptical. It seemed he was skeptical of the girl asking questions when she asked about Holchel. Right? He says, we talked. Obviously, there was more than just a conversation. So that part he seemed a little skeptical, didn't go into. But clearly, I mean, he just seems to me like, wow, I can't believe this is actually working. Just pure bullshit and all these tricks that have happened. Like, we're fooling people right in front of their eyes. We're telling you, this guy's Muslim, but we're handing, we have lesbian females handing out the flyers. It's like, he's saying something. I can't believe this is happening. Right? Well, Curtis Lee was actually running a real campaign. That's the difference, and it's almost like he doesn't even say it's Zohran Mamdani winning. He's like, we're winning. Zohran Mamdani appears to be just a prop.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a line he says, "No one speaks to their values." I don't think you guys are actually speaking to their values, But yeah, I think that. Tangent. I think there's been a definite South Asian push coming from Democrats, by the way, and coming from the elite, and I think this is one of them as well. And it's not authentic, and like we said before, it's not genuine, and they don't share the same beliefs as the communities that they're trying to appeal to. And I'm curious how long it's before these communities realize, hey, wait a second, this guy doesn't, he's Muslim, but he's not, the policies aren't working out for me. I mean, what's it going to take when you start seeing prostitutes walking around in your communities? What's it going to take when we see more homeless guys coming into your neighborhoods too? But again, if he gets in there, we'll see. We'll see that. We'll see how long it actually takes for them to wake up.
Amanda Estevez says, all you need is a cute girl and the whole plan is confirmed. Girl power. That's why you got to do what I do. Just hang out with big, ugly guys. Hang out with guys that are bigger and uglier than you, and that's it. You let them put you in front and don't trust any girls, and you're good. You just assume they're all plants, and you're good. You won't talk about anything. So here we go. Let's hear moves again. Let's hear what else he's got to say. He's gonna go more into. She's got him, bro. This is gold. This whole shout out Crowder. Shout out to you, bro.
Who's paying for dinner, by the way? Who's paying for dinner?
He's paying for everything, bro. This guy's. And what were they smoke? Oh, and the other thing is, did you notice Zohran? I didn't realize Zohran was a pothead, but he was like talking about yesterday weed. And did you notice he had a breakup card in the car when they were getting out of the car, and he had something. It looked like he just rolled a blunt or something. So she's got this guy so hooked. He's paying for everything. He's paying for the drinks, paying for the weed, he's paying for dinner, and ultimately he's gonna be out of a job in 2 seconds. Yeah. Little Bobby.
And the only thing he went home with his hand.
Bobby.
Don't worry, I'm sure he has a trust fund though, so he'll be.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's with his pinky ring and his Casio. Yeah. All right, Bobby. Let's hear more, Bobby.
I'm like, all right. Nobody has more to lose than the transsexual, lesbian, young community. This guy doesn't get elected.
What do you mean?
If he gets trounced by Cuomo here in general, they'll never let a guy like him win again. It'll be like, look, you see, he didn't win. Nobody wants these young progressives. So they lost again.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
They lost again. They don't want us. If we win, then there'll be 100 more like us. It's like knowing the city. Like,
wait, but that's a key point right there. We got to talk about that 1 second. That's a key point because this is national implications, and he's 100% right. If they win here, there's going to be 100 more of them, and this is going to be the direction of the 2028 presidential election. AOC is going to be the number one threat to become the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. Basically, what they will do is take over control. Now they have control of the New York Democratic Party. They will have control of the National Democratic Party, and there will be a socialist thing. And what will you be doing as a conservative? The same thing you're doing right now, crying for Andrew Cuomo to be your mayor. You'll be going, oh, Kamala Harris isn't that bad. I like Kamala Harris. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because, the other guy that's running doesn't have a shot. The mainstream media told me that. And so what's happening here is exactly what the problem is here. That's exactly what it is. This will have national implications. Regardless of what happens, this has national implications. Let's just say that the miracle happens and Cuomo wins the election. What is the national implication of that? That this country, the Overton window of this country has moved to the left, and a far left Democrat like Cuomo is going to be the president, meaning that your best shot for the next president is not AOC anymore. It's Kamala Harris. And MAGA and the rest of you cowards who are pushing for Cuomo will be cheering and begging for her. Either way, this has national implications unless we beat them here.
Well, MAGA, I'm questioning the authenticity about MAGA anyway, because MAGA shifts with seems to shift pretty pretty rapidly, so to speak.
Yep.
So I question the authenticity of the MAGA. Certainly the MAGA we see on social media and in the media.
Brother.
The real MAGA are the people at the boots on the ground. There's quite a disconnect from it right now. So, I question the authenticity of MAGA to begin with right now.
Well, I can tell you this, I've said it before. I travel the entire country by RV, and everyone knows who is the New York City mayor and who's running for New York City mayor in all parts of the country. They don't know who's the New York State governor. Not everyone. A lot of people do, but they know who is the New York City mayor. So I agree with what he's saying. If Zohran Mamdani wins, we're talking about name recognition throughout the entire country. And now we have the first Muslim, and this will spread to other blue cities throughout the country. They want to give the illusion it's about the first Muslim, but really what it's about is Democratic Socialist Party taking over the entire country. And eventually, you're right, for higher office, moving on to the presidency. That's what I see. I think becoming New York City mayor is such a pivotal point for the Democratic Socialist. It is a well-known position throughout the entire country. It's such a high level of office and such a prestige position. The entire country is aware. I've been to remote places in Alaska, remote places in Montana, where they know Eric Adams and they know the name Zohran Mamdani. So clearly, and you're right, I believe, John, if Andrew Cuomo does win, it still puts the Democratic Party in a good place. But I think this is completely geared. In my opinion, I think Zohran Mamdani won. And I even got some messages. I'm hearing that WABC is already calling Zohran Mamdani the mayor. So I think the fix is in.
Can I just say something? I already demonetized us, so fuck WABC, fuck John Katz, fuck Sid Rosenberg, fuck Dominic Carter, fuck all of those libs. They're a bunch of fake conservative libs. They're just like MAGA. Same thing that Marlon was just describing about the Johnny Magas and the Brianna Morellos. They're all a bunch of fucking paid bullshit. They'll do whatever Katzimatidis tells them to do. They're whores. They should be running for police commissioner too. Make Sid Rosenberg the fucking police commissioner. He'd be bending with his ass cheeks over too. Fucking joke. Absolute joke. Yeah. They got Sid Rosenberg had Cuomo on. Cuomo saying, yeah, vote for Sliwa is a vote for Mamdani. Just vote for Mamdani. Like a total setup. The whole thing's been a setup with the mainstream media and these billionaires. They love the city of yes. Marlon's right. This is a whole thing. Let's listen to Soy Boy Bobby a little bit more. Here we go.
Marlon's absolutely right. By the way, Hood May, it says it right here. Hood May in New York City says, WABC has been compromised. Told you. Yo, you're absolutely right. Fuck them.
Yes.
Seriously. It's ridiculous. All right.
Sid just wants to have a job by the time this is all over.
Yeah, they don't know what the fuck he is. You know, he'll be waving. He'll take the Israeli the Star of David and he'll change it to a Palestinian flag tomorrow. You know, sorry, Sid, I'm sorry, but it's just got to be said, dude.
Maybe Sid Rosenberg is going to hand out flyers at the mosque.
Yeah.
Look, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. I'm telling you, there's a massive push going on towards the South Asian community. And I think it's because, I personally think it's because America's looking outside of China now. And they're trying to appeal, the elites are trying to appeal to these communities because they want them to be the new cheap labor. Okay. And here's something else. Next time you look at JD Vance, look at his eyes. Okay. Is JD Vance wearing eyeliner? And why would JD Vance be wearing eyeliner?
Is that even his real name? I heard he changed his name a couple of times.
He did. But the reason why I look at him and I'm like, well, why is he appeared like he's wearing eyeliner? Is because if you look at like a lot of South Asians, see, because of melanin and the skin tones, like a lot of them tend to have like darker spots underneath the eyes.
Yep.
Right. And I really have to question whether there's some shenanigans going on with that, because I'm sorry, man. When you see the push going on, I can't dismiss that there's something odd about that, you know, and odd about the way his eyes look like.
Yeah, and his son's name Vivek.
Yeah.
Son's name's Vivek.
Yep.
You know,
the fact that he also wears a beard, and Trump hates beards, by the way. Trump hates beards. He said that numerous times. And here his vice president is wearing a full beard. So
and his vice president said that he was a Nazi too.
Yeah.
Said Trump was a Nazi. Like that's some far left weird shit there.
Yeah. So it's curious. Yeah, very curious.
He completely forgot about being a Marine.
No, he's definitely hanging out with little Bobby over here, soy boy Bobby.
Hey, soy does it to you. I'm sure he's drinking canned sodas with BPA.
All right, let's see what other gems Bobby got for us. Let's see what the DSA's plan is. Thank you, Bobby, for being such a sucker, you loser. Here you go, you fucking idiot.
I wish I knew who this girl is, man.
Doesn't matter. Bobby's falling for any girl you throw at him. Doesn't matter.
Oh, we're going here. Oh, that's a Caribbean neighborhood. They're conservative. Don't go up there and say, "Hey, we're democratic socialists." You're like, "Hey, we're clean. We're not corrupt." You know, like it's like my job. No.
You heard that, right? That's what he did on this podcast. That's exactly what he did. We're clean. We're not corrupt. That's exactly what he did. He changes. He speaks to whatever community he's there. He changes with the wind. I mean, listen, all politicians do it. The only guy that's really not a politician is Sliwa. So he's consistent. What you see, Cuomo, slimy, right? You seen Cuomo and these guys on Hot 97. What'd they do? You saw Mamdani on Hot 97. What'd they do? They pulled out the hot sauce, right? They did the Hillary Clinton. You saw Sliwa on Hot 97. Who was Curtis Sliwa? He was Curtis Sliwa. He knows they're fans of Eric Adams, and he was still abusing Eric Adams. You know what I mean? So that guy doesn't change, but they do. That's the political game. This isn't just the DSA. This is politicians. This could be Republican, Democrat, liberal. That's what they do. Little Bobby just told us about that. They change. They're shapeshifters.
Yeah. And this is why I don't trust politicians or policing executives when they talk in vagaries and abstractions, and why I mentioned about that podcast I viewed with Abbasi last night. I don't trust them. When they talk like that, it's because they know that they're going to pivot or shift, and they're like an empty vessel, and they're going to be puppets when they get in. And I just don't trust politicians that don't have, that are afraid of getting into details. Which, when you look at the debates, that's a lot of what Cuomo and Mamdani does, especially Mamdani, doesn't go into details.
What do we learn also about this, right? What we learned is that Zohran Mamdani is exactly what I thought he was. He's just a puppet in this game. And ultimately, this is about AOC. This is about AOC, who's leading the Democratic Socialist Party, and about propping her up. getting name recognition in New York City to prop her up and eventually for the Democratic Socialists to take over the entire country. It won't be just blue cities, but to spread that throughout the entire country. And that's what he's saying right here. He's giving up the entire game plan. So hats off to this girl that got all this information. Someone said earlier about girl power. You're not kidding, because this guy folded and he's so excited. He's thinking with his little peepee right now. He's all excited and he's giving up the whole game plan, the whole shebang. And he said since 2014, this has been a plan in motion. And just think, 2014, Zohran Mamdani was just a kid. What is he, 34 right now? Well, he was in his early 20s. This plan has been going on a long time, and AOC is ultimately she's at the top of the pecking order when it comes to this.
Yeah, and just Tyler Stu, just do me a favor. Tell your girl stay out of my DMs. I'm married, bro. I can't be getting in there, right? All right. Anyway, let's see it. Let's go further with Bobby.
I don't really care about taxes. I think people are so tied in on taxes. You know, let me go show you the tax rate in 1950. Let me show you the tax rate in 1960. Then they should complain. Like, if they were paying that tax rate, I could see them complaining. They're paying the lowest tax rate they've ever paid in the history of taxing billionaires. And they're complaining, like, we're robbing them. They're robbing everybody else. Like, the past billionaires were so much better than these current billionaires. It's not even close. If they would just go read the history, they would find that the majority of the city, subways, bridges, big buildings, all this stuff, parks, museums, art centers, cultural stuff that really makes the city what it is. You think that regular people paid for that? No. Billionaires actually use their own money to help people back in the day, like Carnegie built Carnegie Hall. That's why they built the subways so they can make more money. But now that they've made they're making so much money without having to build anything, why build anything for anybody? And then they also don't understand why everybody hates them. So, and why they lose elections now, and why they can't.
Hey, tonight is the New York City Mayoral Debate featuring Mamdani. And I want you to watch the following clips and understand that Robert Akle is a political consultant. He has been for 14 years. He's currently a citywide canvas director for Mamdani's campaign and spent some time with Mug Club Undercover. Maybe someone at the debate could ask Mamdani if he will, in fact, demand that the NYPD block ICE from doing their job, orchestrating an armed standoff. Anything else you want to know? Watch these clips.
Yep. So that was it. I mean, that was a great job. They did an awesome job, dude. That was gold. And I'm sure he's holding back some shit too, because that's what they usually do. Because that was over the course of a few days. And that's what you're hearing. It's the war of millionaires versus billionaires. It's such a joke. And who ultimately loses? We do, the working class. Right? The people that go out every day and make the wheels spin. They look at us like we're nobody. They don't just look at cops and civil servants like, hey, shut your mouth. You'll do what you're told. They look at all of us like that. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim. Doesn't matter if you're a Jew. Doesn't matter if you're Catholic. Doesn't matter if you don't believe in God. That's how they look at us. They look at us like dirty mouth breathers that we just sit there and we're useless eaters. That's how they look at us. We're there to serve at their beck and call.
I tell you what, though, that guy is slimy as hell. He is slimy. That guy reminds me of like someone when they give you that clam handshake, that slimy little handshake. You know, someone, and my father always told me, don't trust someone whose ass is wider than their shoulders. And that's what that guy is. That's exactly it. That slimy handshake. His ass is wider than his shoulders. I tell you, it just makes you think that some of these politicians are so slimy. That's why Curtis Lewa didn't get much time to talk on the debate last night. But there was one part too I love what he said. He said, I'm proud to say I'm not a politician. He goes, I'm not one of them. I'm just a regular Joe. I'm a regular person that cares about New York City. Because I'm glad he said that, because some of these politicians, they are super slimy, disgusting. Yeah, Samara Cohen says that dead fish handshake. Yeah, anyone that gives you that dead fish handshake or their ass is wider than their shoulders, not to be trusted.
Yeah. All right, Marlon, what do you got? And then we'll start reading out some super chats.
I was just gonna thank Class of 8311 for his super chat. You know, he just mentioned me in there, and I appreciate it, brother. Class of 8311 is I've seen that view of numerous times on our shows, and again, we appreciate you guys being loyal viewers, and always joining us here. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny that you hear guys who are supposedly socialists constantly talking about billionaire industrialists like Carnegie and Bloomberg. It doesn't seem very authentic to me, even to your own misguided ideals. So yeah. Let's move on to Super Chats.
All right. So what do we got here? We got Sleepy Joe, Lieutenant Dim. Bring the THV over to the meatpacking district for the next mobilization. He's got bull gags all up in there. Eric, what are you packing for the THV, bro?
I think if I was to go back to the job, I would have ball gags, knee pads. What else do you need? Lipstick. I think that's
Lube. Diddy lube. I think that's going to be the NYPD. I think you're going to have an NYPD kit. Should be in every patrol car with two ball gags, 2 pairs of knee pads, lipstick, Diddy lube. I think we'll get down the line. Yeah. Sleepy Joe, thanks, brother. Thanks for the coffee and donuts. Yeah. Class of 83 said, here's your OT today. Great show, but you guys may have the FCC looking at you after today. You know what? It is what it is. Listen, and that's why go over to WABC 770 YouTube channel. Look how many subscribers they got. Then go back to the Finest Unfiltered and do a comparison. Yeah. Total disgrace if the NYPD doesn't take Marlon back with backpack. It's already a disgrace. And honestly, that's why, there's plenty of people. It's Marlon, it's Athena Clark. It's these people that really are the lifeblood in New York City, really good, wholesome, wholehearted people that Eric Adams casted out like they were nobody, like they were nothing, just like little man boobs Bobby was talking about. He casted them out like they were nothing. And that's why I say Eric Adams is a complete sellout. Right? He's a black guy, came from an impoverished neighborhood, and he forgot who the hell he is. Now he thinks he's elitist, running around with his fancy little suits on, and he throws people like Marlon out. What did he do? Basically tell Marlon to do. He told Marlon to go die and starve on the streets. Same thing with Athena Clark. That's why he's a piece of shit. That's why I'll never forgive him. That's why he's a sellout. And that's why I say Eric Adams ain't black anymore. He was a long time ago. He ain't no more. He's not. He's an elitist snob. Shout out to Ralph Salento. He says, you fellas should consider taking live calls on the show. Great job today. We're looking into that. It's kind of hard with our format, how we do it. But like we said, Ralph, hit us up. We'd love to have you on the show. We know he had a great career in the NYPD. Love to get your thoughts on things. Juju.
John, before you read any further, I just want to say, if we're going to take call-ins, which I'm all for it, it'll be like a 4 or 5 hour show. All I ask is we get some more coffee and donuts so I can get a better chair because my ass is killing me after 3 hours.
Yeah. We were planning on only going an hour and a half today, by the way. But
90 minutes.
So this is supposedly a fake Juju. So I don't know. Juju, I don't know if you got 2 accounts or if this is the fake Juju or whatever. He says, you still underestimate the talented Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, Kaz Daughtry. He brought high technology to the ailing NYPD. Jack Maple 2.0. I'll tell you, Shell said that New York City is going to miss Eric Adams. And I don't think for a second New York City is going to miss Eric Adams. But we here at the Finest Unfiltered, we're going to miss Kaz Daughtry. And I'll tell you that.
Which Juju do you like better, the real Juju or the fake one?
They're both hysterical, so I will take either of them. Shout out
for the coffee and donuts.
Yeah, Upstate Detective. Good morning, brothers. Good morning, my friend. Thank you for joining with us. VSS Ventores, you had to go there again, bro. Hashtag cops for ball gags.
What color ball bag would you wear? Black? Yeah. Would it be navy blue?
Yeah. Sick. Joe Mango, I love Angry John. You are the man, and everything you said, I agree with. Bunch of pansy bosses today in the NYPD.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of messages about the interview with Chief Marino, and everybody that was active was like, "Dude, there's no guys like that in the NYPD anymore. There's no bosses like that."
Was awesome.
And the dudes that were texting me, they're captains and lieutenants. So they've been around a while. They got over 10 years on, you know what I mean? And they're like, there's no guys like that. There's no real leaders. There's no real men that are stand-up dudes. And so everybody's been enthralled with that interview. I thought that was a great interview, VSS
Mike
Ventores.
Marino lived up to it, man. He lived up to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. VSS Ventores, John's sermon on the Mount. No, definitely not a highlight of my life. I don't think so. I'm sorry. Sometimes it just gets a hold of me.
John, you had me a finger in the ass. So I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, which finger?
I just hope my wife doesn't listen to this.
What do they say? Is one knuckles okay? Two you gay?
Yeah. One knuckles. So 1013 KB donating to raise awareness about jujus. Don't let yourself be sucked into the juju, just the nonsense. He answers questions as well as Zohran during the debate. Best not to feed the trolls. Hysterical.
Oh man.
Hysterical. Wait,
Maybe
I think we got
more coffee and donuts. At least we're having a good time.
Yeah, I think. Who else we got? Jesse James can't stop laughing. Awesome. Who else we got? Crazy 10-7, triple fat neck weighs in on debate. It's important. He has something for your demonization.
Triple fat neck.
I can't. I refuse to interact. I'm like I said, you want to come on, you want to talk, you're more than welcome.
It took him to retire to become professional.
Yeah. Hysterical.
Yeah.
Little something for soap to wash out John's mouth today after watching the show.
Dirty mouth. You're a dirty boy.
Yeah.
You gotta put a ball gag in your mouth. Next show, John's coming out with a ball gag.
People always like, oh, how could you be religious and curse? The thing that like people misunderstand about Catholic and like Catholicism and like Jesus, it's very plain speak. Like, like in the Bible, like say how you feel, right? It's how I feel. Like it's not right to curse. It's not right to swear. I got a dirty mouth. It's product of my environment, unfortunately. But I'm just saying how I feel, So I don't think it's a great sin. Like, I don't think it's a great sin for me to use curse words. It's like, I just put things into perspective. Eric likes to do a lot of analogies. That's my analogy. Yeah. That's how I handle it. That's how I do it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be like, I don't think that it makes me a terrible person either. It's just, I have a terrible mouth. I wish I didn't, but
John, Eric Adams is like the Norwegian rat, and your mouth is like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. So try that.
I mean, it is accurate, though. I mean, so
it's true. I love that we're going back and forth, cursing, talking about ball gags and knee pads, and then Marlon's like brings us back to normal, like the voice of reason.
Yeah. That's it. Tom Joyce.
Not good enough to be a detective in the NYPD,
No. Yeah. No. You just gotta have 2 years on, never do a fucking thing, and be related to it. Be related to Tom Sheets Harrison, and there you go. You're a detective.
I wish I was connected like that.
No, I know. Me too. That's such an easy career. I'd still be on the job. We'd still be on the job, Marlon, if we were connected.
Mm-hmm.
We would also be on the job. Eric, it would have squashed your CCRBs.
Hunter says John D. McCarry is the warden in Shawshank Redemption.
You guys are messed up. All right. Okay. All right. Anything else before we run, fellas?
Yeah, no.
No, I think I have enough ball games for one day. I'm good.
All right. So last thing. Let's do this. Where's the corner? Am I pointing right here, right above my head? There's a little QR code. If you scan your phone over the QR code, that'll bring you to our website. For those of you that are listening, it's www.thefinestunfiltered.com. That's powered by our good friends at Cicada Traders. If you're looking to get a website just like ours, check them out. Good guys. Tell them The Finest Unfiltered sent you. And we've been putting our own original content out there, newsletters. Jack Stern just did one about some of the bills Mamdani put out. The most recent one I did was on the police free zones and the violence intervention program. Check that out. Let us know what you think about that. And just do us a favor. If you guys could go over there and you could subscribe to our newsletter, we would appreciate it. We're not going to spam you with anything. We're not going to be spamming you a ton of stuff. Once in a blue moon, we'll shoot some emails to you, but it's not going to be an every day where you look at your phone and you're like, why the hell did I subscribe to this thing?
We're going to send mass text. mass emails about ball gags and knee pads.
Yeah.
Which
All
one
right,
would be
get that off the screen.
Yeah,
Which one would be the NYPD version?
yeah, she's a first grader now. Okay, first grader.
So, but definitely check that out because the articles have been going pretty far, and we appreciate it. The more subscribers we get, the better it is for us to get advertising revenue on there as well. Make sure you check out our friends at the Key for the captain's course. I think that's important. We're gonna get George Misfoot on here one day. Love to also have Ralph on here one day. We'll do some interviews with them and then maybe bring them back for some roundtables. So we had over 1,000 people with us this morning. We thank you, even the haters. Like I said to whoever was in here that keeps telling us to go F ourselves, tell your girl stay out of the DMs. All right, we're married. We don't want any of that. All right, guys, got anything before we get out of here?
No. Make sure Monday morning, we'll be back. And of course, as Marlon said earlier, if you haven't tuned into 10-4 Tavern, they have an array of guests from all over the country. Start to tune into that show. A great job by Tom Joyce and Pete Fuselli. And of course, Executive Perspective is a hit. Ron and Rob are killing it. And Sal Greco doing a great job talking about political corruption. So stay with us. Stay the course. And subscribe to the newsletter. Subscribe. It's important. Get on the website and subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the newsletter. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Just one more point on that. YouTube, please subscribe to us. Make a fake account and subscribe to us. We're closing in on 50,000. We want to push it. We want to push it to 100,000 by mid next year, and we want to ultimately get to 1 million. Not too long after that. So if you guys could help us spread our message, we would appreciate it. Don't be afraid. I mean, you're going to either use your First Amendment or you're going to lose it. It's one or the other.
Put a fake name. Ball bag 7, whatever it is. Put a fake name. Just subscribe.
And we just got one more super chat from Dog Mom 7. A little money and coffee and donuts and a box of tosses for Marlon. He's crying. Great show as always. Thank you, Dog Mom. Marlon, what do you got before we get out?
Yes. Thank you, Doc Mom. I'm definitely gonna need a box of tissues anytime Angry John comes out, but yeah, we appreciate you guys joining us, and we appreciate even our haters taking time out of your day to tell us to go F ourselves. But you guys stay safe out there. If you're on patrol, keep your head in the game, and be aware of what's around you, and have a great weekend. I'll see you next week. We'll see you next week.
And I just want to say this. We said today that we would do the show for 90 minutes, but apparently we did 90 minutes twice. So listen, we had a good time. Make sure you get your NYPD ball gags coming to you soon. They come in different colors. Someone said here for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you can wear pink. So ball gags and knee pads coming to you. The finest Unfiltered. Thank you, everyone.
Eric talks too much. That's why we went that long.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden, they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?